Here we are with another Saturday Night Live, July 4th in the US of A.
Hmm.
Celebration for what? Freedom, isn't it?
Something like that.
Independence.
Something like that.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Something like that.
It took 100 years to free the slaves after the Declaration of Independence. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, they say that all history is written by the winner, so it's his story.
Yeah.
You don't get all sides of the of what happened, and that's the problem with our history books. So
Well, now they're rewriting it on top of it. So
exactly, and it keeps getting rewritten, and then the internet came. So it's amazing, but yeah, I didn't know if I would be here today for sure, to tell you the truth. Last night was quite of in and out of body. I've been having some pretty amazing challenges this past week. And here we are, ready to keep going. Not time to go yet.
and the challenges.
Not time to go. So, life is always full of surprises and challenges. Today, had some guys healing reactions.
Healing opportunities.
Sorry?
Healing opportunities.
Yeah, because that echo in here, because your room's empty, it's it's not like it used to be. You got a microphone you can move closer, or
Well, it's in the.
yeah, it's in the camera.
This is
Okay,
better.
yeah, that's better when you're closer. But yeah,
Level. Everything's kind of like rolling around in the desk.
yeah, life is always full of surprises and challenges and learning experiences. I've just been laying in the sun, sleeping a lot the whole week. Today was no different. I had some people fixing some stairs at my mother's today. So I was outside there and just watching. But yeah, it's, fasting, the lifestyle is serious for people who want to really take charge of their health. And for those who are going to dabble in things and eat obstructive foods and dry fast, they're going to hurt themselves. People will kill themselves. You'll see that coming more into play as time goes on, as dry fasting gets more popular and so on and so forth, particularly dry fasting. What we see out there is not an understanding of what dry fasting is.
It's freaking dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. I've been watching it and watching posts from people giving suggestions and stuff, and I just don't comment outside the board about fasting. We just support master fasting, but a lot of these people are in a master fast group, and it's interesting to watch. Let's say that. Yeah, we all here to live and learn. We don't have all the answers, but I've been through a lot, and I continue to go through a lot. A lot of emotional stuff happened the last few years. I've been talking about it for the last few years. Take care of my mother, and it's getting more challenging as time goes on, as dementia's kicking in, and so on and so forth. And physically, she can't walk as well, and so on. And so we got to deal with that. But hey, this is what it's all about. That's why, what do most people do today? Look at an old age home. I don't want to deal with it. They don't understand that emotions are going to have to deal with it anyway, at the soul level. They may not see it in the physical, but it's going to come through them at the soul level. You can't run and you can't hide. So I'd rather deal with it now in the physical and at the soul level at the same time than having to work with it later. and it's not easy. It is what it is. But fasting will make us stronger, but it's more challenging to do in these times for sure, as we've seen with many thousands of people, living their lives with families and friends and so on and so forth, and social work and coworkers and so on. So we keep going, man. We just make that commitment and keep going no matter what. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm not one you want to be around when I've got healing reactions. That's for sure. I'm a wimp when it comes to healing reactions. I've been through so much. I just do what I have to do and just get using the tools that come to me and so on and so forth. But it's a ride. What's happening with everybody? Is they here? Nice to see you, Melinda, Steve, John, and Kurt again. Hello. Wonderful.
I'm busy eating.
Rana's
Sorry, guys.
pigging out.
Not pigging out. It's my first meal. Well, I ate fruits first. I did the 3-day fast. And today is the first. I mean, I was working the whole day. I didn't sit down from the moment I woke up. And now I sat down, showered,
I've
sat
been
down.
mostly dry baking in the sun today. I just drank a little bit right now. But all is well.
I'm finding the sun really challenging this year.
The sun is hotter, isn't it?
Well, think
More intense.
about this. What color was, I don't know what this has to do with it, but what color was the sun years ago? Yellow, right? What color is it now?
White.
White.
The
I don't know what that
light,
means. I don't know what the science behind it is, but it's different.
The pollution
This-
is
the light about 5 years ago, I noticed that
Yes.
the light's just different. It
Different.
like it's more penetrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the destruction of the ozone too, because UVC is now being detected down.
If we look at astrologically, it's because we're moving into the, we moved into the Aquarian age of light and knowledge. So that's looking at it through energetic versus what's happening here, because that's where everything makes what's happening here happen. So
But it just seems
it
really
is.
bright. I don't know what it is. It just really appeared. We have more sun than we've had in the last 5 years. This spring has been incredibly bright, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah,
And I don't know. It really looks white this year.
very
You can-
intense.
you
I
can get
noticed.
burnt easily.
I noticed this year is very, very intense. Like, I haven't felt this in a very long time, unless in the tropics. So, but we welcome it. Be careful, especially if you're dry
It's
fast.
making the drive for me. It's making it more challenging.
Yeah, especially
Absolutely.
dry fast, especially newbies in dry fast. And be very careful.
Yeah.
Don't try to be heroes.
No.
Take
I've been more doing the semi-dry with the shots of the tinctures.
yeah.
Yeah,
careful.
because the sun, it stimulates the detox even more.
Oh,
Boy.
Like, so, yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was just laying in the sun.
Yeah, you have
Just
to.
crashing out. Today was the first day I didn't have a nap since Monday.
There you go.
Every Monday I was having a nap. And then last night was just, whoa. It's just, where am I? So,
That's pretty amazing after all these years.
has nothing to do with all the years, Steve.
I guess it's never gonna end then. It's just
We're
part,
just
part of the journey forever.
living it, loving it,
Emotional
embrace,
stress-
surrender.
Emotional stress is there.
We're going to have our ups, we're going to have our downs. And, if we can completely let go of falling off the wagon, we say, then our downs will be less and less. Right? That's the way it is. If we have our downs, don't dwell on them. That's part of our experience, and move on. Just don't worry about it. but too many people dwell on their downs.
Yeah.
And that's going to be detrimental. And,
Yeah, we have to support each other and help each other feel secure because it's okay. It's okay to do
you know,
mistakes.
what we've been talking about for 5 years, emotion is seed. The
But
mo-
some people are harder on themselves than other people, I feel, and that's, they want more support. We have to give them
Yeah.
more support.
Yeah.
They're
Some
harder
people,
on
if they're
making
going through
mistakes.
healing reactions, they want a lot of people, supporting around. For me, leave me alone. Don't
I'm
come
the
around,
same way. Don't just leave me alone.
So yeah, but everybody's got their own ways. So we have to respect everybody's ways. Because if I need something, I'll help. I'll ask in any situation. Like my mother, she wants the whole town around her, right? The whole family. That's what she needs. That's the emotion is seed. That's what they need. That's what people need. And right or wrong, we're not who are we to judge? We just
I think that's more prevalent in the last generations than it is in today's.
yeah.
People are more loners today, and society's made it that way.
Yeah.
It's true. I like to be alone.
Well,
too.
look what's happening now.
Yes, it is. Society is kind of
It's gonna.
just a function of this fucked up society is really what it is.
This is affecting killing off more people than any virus ever will. What they're doing. The suicide rates, like we talked about, I don't remember, 600% or something crazy went up in the last few months. Just suicide. Never
Because
mind all the psychological effects and emotion stuff that's going to happen because of all this. People losing work and so on and so forth.
It's the work, right? It's mainly
So-
it's mainly the financial aspect.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff attached to financial. If you can't pay your bills, you can't feed yourself and your family. It's big consequences there. There's a huge
Yeah,
thing
that's
going
the
on
biggest
downtown with homeless people. They just took over the whole City Hall Square, right in and put all tents there. Police are not doing anything about it.
The homeless.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's part of Antifa.
So
But any-
Part of what?
George
Antifa,
Soros,
yeah.
It's part of what?
Antifa, whatever you want to call it.
Oh.
I don't know. There's so much information we can get lost to many different rabbit holes, man. It's just
Well, they're being financed, that's for sure.
the beautiful thing is pedophiles are being arrested more and more and more.
Yeah, let's see if she survives.
Well, I don't know. But in the last few years, it's been happening more and more. And there's just another one I read today in Italy. There's something taken down. It's like almost every week there's something happening. And you come to think, how big is this?
It's global.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, but
part of their religion.
So who is
You
brave?
know, it's so freaking evil.
So who is who is the one behind exposing them at this point?
Trump,
Yeah, all
Trump.
over the world,
I'm
different,
telling you,
That's
Trump's
what
the
some
one,
say.
Trump's the one that's pulling the trigger on this stuff.
but different countries. He's like
That's
Oh,
what-
the whole thing, it's all interwoven. There's no difference. There's no separation of this. This is all the elite, that whole sphere of,
right.
they're into some deep, dark shit, man. Let me tell you. You want to go down that rabbit hole, be
oh,
prepared.
I went
Be
down.
prepared.
Yesterday I was watching.
It's no point. It's crazy stuff.
No, it's satanic, no doubt.
There was a comment on Facebook somewhere, and there's a video of a boy jumping off one of the royal palaces in the UK, and that was disturbing. He was bare naked, and he fell. As he was trying, there were bed sheets. I think he was trying to climb down.
Yeah, it's old.
But I
But,
just can't believe that there is a video like that. I just can't believe it. A boy, jumping off the window.
You can't,
I just can't.
Anyway.
I mean, I got disturbed when I saw
well,
it.
it's all being exposed.
It's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to see stuff.
Let's focus on the PLAF.
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought it up.
The good news is that they're being arrested, and it's because we're in the age of, we're in the year of 2020, perfect vision, which you can't hide from the truth anymore. We're in the Aquarian age, we started in 2012 of knowledge and enlightenment. So all these energies come into play. This is why we're seeing what we're seeing. And why we're seeing also the other side grasping at all straws, trying to continue to doing what they know they have no more time left.
Right.
That's what I see happening. I don't know. Who am I? I don't know. But
You listen to so many different.
I've been watching a lot of this stuff for many, many, many years,
Oh, yeah,
going way back 30 years before internet.
Oh, yeah.
And it was interesting watching it, how it all came into play and what we're doing right now in the situations, most of us locked up in our own homes. Very interesting, but crazy, you know, people, they're continuously being divided to conquer, to be conquered, continuously on every little aspect of everything. Now masks. Oh, if you're one of those, you don't wear masks. Okay, there's another divide and conquer. You know, you can go to church, you can't sing, you can. There just goes on and on and on and on and on. My goodness gracious. We just want to fast, make some grape juice. You know, spread some love.
It's hard to stay, you know, it's hard to stay out of it.
Yeah. Well, it affects us all.
I mean, you know, I'm still working, so I still have to go out and, you know, like everybody that's still working, you have to go out and deal with the public. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
There's one store we have to use a mask, and that's the store we get our fruit. So if we don't want to go there, then we got to go somewhere else to get our fruit. So I'm not in a position now to go and drive other parts of town because
especially you're shopping for your mom. If it's for us,
yeah,
you know, I don't care. We can
So-
go growing some stuff this summer. So.
then it's just it is what it is. So you put on a mask, go in, throw it off when you get out. Okay, I'll respect. You know, when you go.
Well, look at it. The way I look at it is it's a private business and they're requiring it. So if I want to do business with them, I have to follow their rules. Period.
Yeah, that's right.
Or I don't have to enter it. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If
not
somebody,
acquiescing.
when you enter somebody's home, you respect their rules. You know,
Correct.
take off your shoes. Oh yeah, no problem, man. I love that. That's fine. You know, you respect
That's
where.
their belief, right?
That's the way it is. That's what we do as humans. We respect each other's
Correct.
homes and businesses or whatever. So it's not a problem. But when somebody's telling you what to do in your own home, somebody posted, they're telling people in Switzerland how to have sex in their own homes.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh my God, man. What are we coming to? What are we coming to, man? I'm one for freedom, man. And I'll stand for freedom at all costs.
Yeah, like maybe the husband and wife will stop sleeping next to each other.
So, you know, this is,
You know, like
what they're doing is not in line.
Probably many will, Rhonda. Probably many will.
I am sure some are already doing that.
Yeah.
I know a husband and wife who are not talking.
Hey, everybody has a right to their belief system, so we can respect it. But according to the sciences, not the sciences that the governments are showing us, all the whistleblowers that are coming forth, dozens and dozens and dozens of them. According to them, the mask is pretty much useless. Yeah, it might catch a speck or two of this virus. You know, whatever.
I mean,
Fungal infections in the lungs are starting to show up in the ERs now.
Yeah. You know, they're blaming it on wearing a mask, but the mask is not going to cause. It's going to aggravate their underlying conditions, as we know, right?
really? So now there are cases because
You're rebreathing your waste. So that's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, because I posted that, and even Diane, she was an ex, you know, registered.
Yeah.
She retired, and she said, "Yep." I asked some friends, and that's what they're saying, that are still working. So it's happening.
Yeah.
People are being forced to wear masks. They shouldn't be wearing masks. You know, if you're healthy and so on and so forth.
all day long.
Yeah, a mask. You know, I worked in a body shop for like 4 years, and I wore a lot of masks because you don't want to breathe in all the dust. So you try and avoid most of it. You're not going to avoid it, even with a mask. And you wear them, and then sometimes you just you rip it off because you need it. You need air.
Yeah.
You need air. Your body's going, wait a minute, you know what I mean?
That's
But most of the time, it's okay. You're okay with it. If you're healthy, you're going to be okay with it. People who have underlying issues will not be okay wearing a mask. You know, if you're living and loving it, doing Boteco type style breathing, which you're increasing your CO2, not through suffocation, but through breathing less, you're going to be able to utilize oxygen better than anybody else. So, that's why we do what we do, and we suggest practicing all these different things that we suggest. And that's about it. But we don't have all the answers, but the things that we've been implementing, and if we implement them and continue to implement them, they work. They work. When you fall off, you will feel things a lot more than the average person, because your senses are opened and alive as they should be. And that's the way it is. So anybody else want to speak? I'm a little bit dry today, a little bit on the weak side, but
Zahir.
Zahir. Hi, Zahir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Zahir.
It's my first masterclass Zoom.
Nice.
My first time here.
how you feeling?
Yeah, I've had a pretty intense week. So I did 4 days full masterclass, and I basically had detox symptoms like I've never had ever. Like when I did the 108, which was 2.5 years ago, when I ended it, I remembered that all around my head, all the sort of lymph points were quite tender. They weren't painful, but they were tender, like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but this week, these points on this side of the face and the head, all around the head, into the teeth, gums, and the glands here, the most excruciating pain I've ever had. So, like, the first night it happened, I was doing an enema literally every hour. I didn't sleep all night, and then eventually it kind of went in the morning. Then the next day was fine. This was day 3. Day 4, kind of in good spirits, had some great meditation in the morning, feeling really good. So I thought I'd take the full dose of herbs. I've got a graduated dropper now. I did the 2 milliliters of each one. And anyway, that evening it started coming on, well, that afternoon. And then that night I was trying to do, I literally, it was excruciating, and I couldn't just lie down, couldn't sleep, doing more enemas, almost like every half an hour, because of the way it was spread out around the head. It was awkward.
You mentioned that when you ended it, you started feeling the sensitivity?
When I ended it, no, during the fast. On the second day, it was really bad. On the 4th day, I broke it on the morning of the 5th day, but on the 4th day, it got really excruciating. And it was awkward to try and do castor oil pack because it was all around the head and down into the throat as well. And I've only got this kind of thin hot water bottle. So I focused on the enemas, and I was chewing wheatgrass and having showers. But it was intense. It was intense. And in the morning, I was like, look, I have to break this because I'm just going crazy. So I had some fruits, a very small amount, like 3 or 4 damson plums, which is all I could find. I wasn't intending on breaking the fast, so I didn't have anything in the house. I just had some frozen damsons in the freezer, had a few of them, and I found some oranges in my friend's fridge, and these old oranges, I was sucking them, and it kind of helped. And then I had some green, but then the pain came back, and it only went away when I had some greens powder with some water, sipped half a glass of that, and then I managed to go to bed and sleep. And then from that point onwards, the pain is still kind of off and on. I noticed that every time I do a fast now, my gums, I've got dental issues anyway, so my gums are really tender. And if I do, say, a 4-day fast, the day after, the first time I have some fruit or something, the pains shoot up the gums into the lymph, it's all lymph, the horrible lymph pains. So I wanted to do a week because, we talked about doing a week and building up to doing a long dry because of the other things that are going on. But I'm going to have to just keep plugging away, you know, and keep doing the short ones until I can do a longer one. So this goes to show, for everyone who doesn't know, I did a 108 and I did a 40 day and a 25 day, but then over 2.5 years, I got busy. I went off the rails, just went off the rails, basically off the wagon, and caused myself big problems. So now I can't really, I haven't managed to do more than a 4 or a 5 day in a row after having done a 108 before, because there's so much that the body wants to get into and heal. So, yeah, it's an interesting experience. But at least I'm back.
MFS is a serious lifestyle. You want to dig, you're going to have your weaknesses come to the surface one by one.
For sure. And I've got them. And, it's taken this tough time for me to learn the consistent attitude. So now I've got my attitude towards food and it's totally different and fasting. And I'm just so much more focused on making better choices and consistently, if I take a break for a week, I'll come back and do another 4 days. If I take a break for another 4 days, come back, just keep plugging away. And I think if I can keep doing that, I'll be on the right track. But of course I will. But it's just, the other injury that I've had from it is this hernia, which most people would be going for surgery for without a doubt, because it's big, it's interfering with walking, it's interfering with life. But I'm prepared to be more or less, kind of disabled for a bit if I can use that time to dig in and see if I can shrink it, because I don't want to have anyone cut me open. And that's a big if anyway in these current times, if you can even get surgery, but I don't want that. And so I'm going to keep plugging away until I can do a long dry and see if it can shrink. And people around me think I'm crazy. I've had several people tell me they're really worried about me. I can't tell my mom and dad what's going on because they'd freak out. And I kind of want to dig in a bit more and see if I can shrink it. And at least when I tell them no, if I'm telling them, I need to have surgery or I'm fine, it's under control. So it's, that's another thing. It's, the sort of people fretting and worrying about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I guess
think of the times we're in, medical tyranny, man. People are going to be forced and pulled into surgery soon. It's just madness what's going on, and that's not right. Everybody has the free will to choose as they please, how they want to live, how they want to die. Not that people are going to purposely go kill themselves. But people think that fasting is a way to kill yourself because it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Right. It's just misunderstood.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, the guys I live with, they talk about spirituality and all that kind of stuff, but then they see someone going through this process and they're like, oh, that can't be good, because you might look sick or whatever, and they've got this idea that actually what you eat has got nothing to do with health in the long run. They're like, oh, health is all about energy, and you can get there just through meditation and stuff. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm big on meditation. Yeah, I'm big on energy work and meditation. Maybe it's different for someone that, for example, hasn't fasted, so they haven't made themselves sensitive, and they can, get to some interesting levels just through the spiritual work. However, if you have done fasting, you do start going down that route, and you do start making yourself sensitive, then it's a different ball game, and they're underestimating how much you learn from fasting. I feel I've never felt more free from the mind and in touch with guidance as I do now at this stage of my life. And I'm not saying, I've got a long way to go, but I've never felt so free of the mind and so less inclined to drop my ego on people or drop my mind and make assumptions and drop it on them like everyone seems to do. And these guys, they're talking the talk about ashrams and gurus and all that, but they drop their ego on you. They drop their mind on you. They make assumptions about, you can't know what someone's been through. You can't make assumptions that you know more about their life and their background and the whole, however many decades that it's taken for them to get where they are. That's not humble. That's not, for want of a better word, spiritual. I know that word's got a negative connotation sometimes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you got to go through it yourself. Doesn't matter what anybody else has gone through.
It's the learning, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's faith.
We must experience it.
we're all learning, and I've got trust in my learning, and I've got trust in everyone else's learning. So that means I'm not worried about anyone else anymore. If there was a child I was responsible for, that, and that'd be different. But in terms of adults and their choices, unless it's an extreme situation, I'm not worried. I think people worrying about other people, being concerned, that can be an ego trip in of itself. You know, that's kind of like, oh, I'm so concerned about this person, but that's you running your ego and your fear. Do you know what I mean? It's like people that over worry about other people are just running their mind off, aren't they?
Yeah, it's in their mind from their education. It's not, it's nothing to do with what they've experienced. It's what they've been taught, what they've been programmed, or whatever you want to call it. You know, just like the guys, they're telling you that they're meditating, you can get your energy from, you know, many different forms, but they're still eating. It's contradictory to what they're saying, because they haven't experienced being able to get energy exclusively from other forms. You know, whereas anybody who's master fasted, they know what it feels like. And how can you compare the two? You can't. There's no comparison. But just to give you, you know, you've been in and out a few years. In which states did you have more challenges? In your eating states or in your fasting states, Zahir?
Well, obviously, like the eating state is taking me into a dark place from eating. And from really, it was like a violent swing back, obviously, because it's all emotional. So what it was, it's too fast, too quick. I was raised, like so many of us, binge eating and comfort eating, and I just wanted to get well quick. Did the long one, and yeah, I mean, I've got mental clarity like I've never had in my life from all that. But yes, then swinging back emotionally to some old habits, thinking that I could get away with it, being busy and sort of just doing it because I was busy and not really, still trying to keep up, you know, a dry fast, that kind of thing, but not consistently digging in. It was all
these thoughts you just mentioned, I can assure you most of us had most of those thoughts.
Most of the time.
There you go. We're no different, right?
Yeah, but it's about choice, isn't it? I mean, like now, having, you know, I had a bowl of just chard with some water, with some lime juice, steam, sort of, you know, just the charred soup, but it was just chard and soup. It wasn't anything, no spices, and I was like, this tastes amazing. Like, this is amazing.
Exactly.
Oh, it's like I don't have to have thoughts about, you know, indulgent things, because my problem was indulgent things. Like I've had a sourdough pizza addiction, and I was working really hard on this project, and you know, after a long day, it would be my equivalent of what would back in the day have been having a beer or a spliff or having sex or something like that. But it's sort of food for me at the moment is the last hurdle in terms of vice.
You know, the eating, active eating is wonderful. The sensations, the social thing that we do with it, you know, especially but how much more do we need? We got to keep asking ourselves every time we got to eat. You know, yeah, okay, it's okay to eat, but you know, not telling everybody to stop eating. But how much more do we need to satisfy ourselves? It's a never-ending cycle, and that's the trap. So we have to be able to learn to discipline and control ourselves, and put the emphasis on fasting and eating just for pleasure, because as far as I'm concerned, eating is not something that we need to sustain ourselves. Okay, and some people still believe that to be true, that you need to eat to sustain yourself. You need to drink to sustain yourself. And that's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their belief system. But from the tens of thousands of people that have been through MFS in all the other years that have been fasting and so on and so forth, energy don't come from food.
No, definitely. Food is a drug. It's just taking drugs, but it's fun, and you don't appreciate the food without the fasting anyway. I mean, how can you appreciate food if you don't fast?
Exactly.
Really,
The more you fast,
you know,
the more you appreciate food.
Yeah. If you're just taking something every day, all day, you're not appreciating it. You're just drugging yourself up to get through life, you know. But I've got a question actually about saunas. You know, this portable steam sauna that's on the website. I'm thinking about getting one, and I noticed that your head sticks out. Does the head still sweat? Do you still get hot enough for you to perspirate from the head when you're sat in that sauna?
Yeah, your head will sweat a bit, not as much as the body. I haven't used mine in quite a while. I brought it over to my mother's and a while ago, and she only used it once. She didn't want to use it more. It's been there for a while, but yeah, it's a nice little thing. It's cheap compared to anything else, unless you build one yourself. But it's you could probably build one if you get a little steamer. But I remember one of my steamers broke, and it was cheaper to buy the whole thing over than to buy just the steamer. So I bought another one. It was like a couple $100, $100, I remember. So
Yeah. I mean,
what I bought it for I used it for doing ozone, right? You steam yourself, open up the pores for 10, 15 minutes or more, and then bring it right down the steam, and then crank up the ozone, and just let the ozone run for a while. That's what I was using it for. That's the purpose I bought it for. I found it was the cheapest way to do ozone, on the whole body.
I thought of that one.
Yeah.
I use the ozone every day. I use that generator every day though.
Yeah.
Hour every day.
Hey, Zahir.
I fill up my bedroom with it, so it's all night long.
Hey, Zahir, could I ask?
Yeah.
I can breathe it, no problem.
Something?
No problem.
Could I ask Zahir something?
Go
Hey,
for it.
hey, Zahir. Hey, when you did the 108 and then you fell off, right? Did your mental clarity persisted throughout that whole time, like until now? Like you were gone for a year or two?
2.5 years.
Yeah. So like your mental clarity just took like a serious change after the 108 or the longer ones that you did, right? And then because you said that like the way you said it made me think that it's still like very, very good compared to what it was before your 108.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think not just the 108, but there was over a 2-year period. I did a 40-day, then a 25-day, then a 108. And then I think there was a big, I mean, before that, I'd been doing bursts of fruit fasting, and, I would do like a couple of weeks on grapes with herbs. I'd do like, I remember I did 10 days on watermelon with herbs, and that was a big shift as well. So there were big shifts happening in the years prior to that, but there's been a strong increase in mental clarity and sharpness, and actually that led me to being busy with projects, with this project that I set up and another project, and being able to handle that and handle long sort of hours of quite intense work. Not that there weren't some fuzzy days as well with the kind of reacting to food and all that kind of stuff, being sensitive, but overall a whole next level of clarity mentally, which I never had as much before. When I moved to this city 6-7 years ago, I couldn't really do even hold down a part-time job where I needed to think too much. I was really not in that good a state then, very fuzzy.
You moved to what?
Out.
What did you move to?
Where I live now, when I moved here, I was in a real state. I've been doing 3 years of healing after having a big crash, like chronic fatigue style crash, where I couldn't even go for a brisk walk, and I'd done a lot of healing, but I was very fuzzy in the mind, and I'd not anywhere near as sharp as I am now. So yeah, definitely the master fasting really, really helped. And even though I've gone off the rails and caused myself all these injuries, the mental sharpness has remained through that period. So that's good. And now it's about healing those injuries and being consistent moving forward.
Are you a programmer?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not a programmer. I have a project to set up here in Bristol. It's a community event project, running an annual micro festival called Vitality, and sort of a community project based around that, which is it's like a family-friendly festival at a community centre with no alcohol and all plant-based organic food, and it's really kind of reaching out to different communities. And yes, just my kind of thing, my kind of event I'd want to be at. And it was gathering some good momentum until this COVID came along. We got funding, got 20 grand of funding to do it this year, and COVID came along and it's all just gone, like, destroyed. But the thing is, because I feel good, I don't care. Like, I don't care about anything. Like, who cares what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, you can't change. You just got to go with the flow, really, haven't you? So I'm not fretting. Other people would be tearing their hair out that they've got the funding and then it was all cancelled, and I was just like, well, if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. So
it's good.
So, look, as we've discussed before, Zahir, I would try everything to see if that, will heal on its own. I know it will. How long will it take is the question, and that we cannot answer. And if it's in a time frame where it doesn't suit the life to put more time and energy to it, then you still have always that surgery option to help. But I would do everything.
I'm confident. Yeah, I mean, I'm confident of shrinking it. At the end of the day, the other thing I've got is this ascites. They call it ascites. It's the edema in the gut, so the gut's all swollen. What would be the point in having surgery anyway when that's going on? All the inflammation has to come down first anyway. So even if I wanted to have surgery, I'm not going to have it when I'm riddled with inflammation down there anyway. So I'm confident it can really give it a good shrinkage, and then keep on shrinking it. And I think basically for me, it's about being clean enough to do a long dry. I mean, in the past, the longest I did was 5 days, but then I was cleaner then, I think. Now, like I'm saying, just doing 4 or 5 days of full master fast is giving me, we're digging in, and I want to be able to do a week or two of full master fast comfortably before I do a long dry. But
so I was mentioning earlier, I don't know if you're on or not, but about people doing dry fasts out there and so on and so forth. Once you step into the realm of dry fasting, MFS is a glorified dry fast. You have to have the understanding of what dry fasting is, and you must do dry fasting prudently, going into it, coming out of it. And if we choose to fall off more often than not, the dry fasts will be very harsh on ourselves. Very harsh, and will be detrimental to some. So you have to have that understanding. Is dry fasting the ultimate state for the body to heal? Absolutely, when the GI tract is clean, right? The plasma vacuum too, we talk about that a lot. Clear out that GI tract and allow the soul to work in autopilot. That's what we've come as an understanding happens with people having miraculous healing while on master fast. They get to a point where the GI tract is cleared out very well, and then miraculous things start happening because we have the dry fasting schedules. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't focus on doing a long dry, doing the master fast and then a long dry, and then what?
You gotta continue with the master fast.
Yeah.
To live it, love it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what I'm trying to say, you gotta continue. It has to be a lifestyle. Because what are you gonna do? Go back to the same situation again? That's what we're trying to come to know. You have to decide now, am I ready to stay in this lifestyle? Because if you're gonna decide to go back what you did in the last 2.5 years, it's not gonna be nice.
No, of course not. No, I'm in the lifestyle now. I mean, I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing 4 or 5 days of full master fast, then I take a break, then I do another 4 or 5 days, and that's just my life. So
awesome.
I'll keep doing that. But I just want to be cleaner before I do a longer dry. I mean, I've done loads of 3-4 day dries. Like I said, the longest was 5 days. So I just need to, I think, what do you reckon? If you've had 2.5 years of putting inflammation on top of what had been cleaned out to a degree, is the body sort of, once you start fasting again, is the body, it's got a kind of like an accelerated cleaning out of all of that in a way, as opposed to if you were digging away at stuff that you'd accumulated over years of just eating. Do you know what I mean? Like you've made the body, then you.
This is the way I look at it. Somebody who's, let's say, 30, 40 years of eating anything and everything, that's a lot of accumulation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you get on an MFS and you can clear out a substantial load of that. You're not going to clean it all, but you're going to clean a substantial load. And then you go to obstructive eating. Can you accumulate decades of eating in 1 or 2 years? Do you think? Obstructiveness? I don't think so. But energetically, emotionally, that's another story.
Yeah.
See, there's physical, mental, emotional. So I know what you're trying to say. It's not a question that we can readily answer. I've seen some people, come back after a couple of years, bang, jump in, and they're back on, flying through it. You know what I mean? Never think about anything. And others, struggle. So it's hard to say. It's just there's so much into play. It's infinite, really, of all the things that come into play with emotions, our lineage of genetics, environments, what have we eaten, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots into play. I know from my experience, and others may not agree with me, but fats are one of the most obstructive. Some people don't feel that because for some reason genetically they can handle fats more. Doesn't mean they're not doing a cumulative obstructive ness in their bodies and in their, so, fats are really, really hard on us. Proteins are right behind there, and then you have different things and so on and so forth. But
I feel when I eat mucus, when I eat fats, I feel I have more mucus for sure. I have more mucus, and it's like it's oily. The mucus, it's like slippery.
People who eat a lot of fats, you'll see like a sheen on their skin. Their skin looks nice, healthy. If you look at my pictures, my skin looked really well, but I was dying.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I see the mucus and the oil when I go back on the master fast. Then I see, it's oily. The mucus is, and that's, in my opinion, that's fat.
Somebody posted about, they were looking older. They're doing them for about a year. Vanity's man's number one sin. We've seen people rejuvenate like no tomorrow. You can't even recognize them. So what are you eating in between? And there's many things in the play. It's just a process. Fasting always rejuvenates. I've talked about over the years. Every time I would start my season change fast, look in the mirror. At the end of that fast, 7 days, 14 days, you will look younger. Every one.
Oh yeah.
Every single one. So wrinkles, this and that. Eat fat and the wrinkles go away. They will. So what are wrinkles?
No, I mean, it takes time for the body to completely clear up. When we're detoxing, yeah, sure, we can have all kinds of looks, but eventually,
is the skin supple and soft? Wrinkles don't mean anything. Big deal.
Plus, like if you do the iris analysis, that's really the indication that you should consider the most important, right?
Yeah, look what's happening. If you want to see, sure, you can see everything in there. Oh yeah. At the end of the day, whatever's there, what are you going to do? We still got to do the work and the same thing, no matter what cards we've been dealt and played, in our existence. So, hey,
So another thing is when you've answered actually your question by yourself, because when you've gone through the process of cleansing with MFS, as the answer is always there, you basically, do you really need to know how much you cleaned out and you don't, because you just feel it and you just go through the process of doing it? So even if you have a 2.5 year break where you then go back to obstructive food, once you go back to cleaning out, it doesn't matter, it just happens, because you know it happened before and it happened on a daily base. So it's just a matter of how much goes in and how much goes out. Well, nobody can give you an answer on that. That's impossible. But you know that the process in itself happens. And then that really, you know, it's just got, as I said, it's the persistency that you've got to have. Another thing on that is, think about when you look from a spiritual point of view, from a soul point of view. Think about how did we come into the earth, on earth? Where did we come from? And how did we then eventuate? Like, how did we, from being a spiritual being, how did we materialize back into the world? You know, like with your birth. So then you're materializing out of energy. You're coming back. And with all that, then think about what nature does. It's not the human, it's nature that builds the body. You know, when you conceived, and then the building process starts. But even before conception, where were you? And you were an energy field. And then you're materializing into this flesh that we are now. And the process that nature or the universe has to make us a human being, the message that is that we become a human as we are, that's in itself should give you the confidence that when you go back to not eating and being more connected to nature through fasting than through eating, then you can be assured that everything will happen and has happened for a reason, and will help you to be closer to nature again through the process of just believing and trusting where you came from. Because at the end of the day, you go again. So you dematerialize, you go back into energy again, really. So there's 2 points where you come, turn into flesh, and then you go and leave the flesh again. So in between is when we see, and we don't do that often enough, that we just should trust our soul and trust where we come from, source, and never forget that, and always trust that. Not some opinion, not some scientific study, no, because think about the energy that we were and came into flesh and made everything. There was no person in a white coat that did that. No, it was just the source itself did that. Just that belief answers, for me, all the questions, because I can trust it 100%. I don't have to question that in any way, form, or shape. And as you said yourself, with your hernia, you let the process go through because you know it's got to go, it can heal up and become good if you leave it alone. But if you eat obstructive food and you overstretch it again, and you know what I mean? Like when the human comes back in, when the flesh comes back in, and that's when things can go askew and get damaged. But if you leave the process up to source, it will always do the right thing, 100%. It's only when we interfere, things go wrong. But when you leave nature, it can't go wrong. I mean, you've experienced that when you did 108 days. You knew what happened in you. You knew what you know, like how much power the soul and source has in you. And that's what I'm saying, even that the thinking then, that never goes, because you know, you can always, it's reference points. That's what I feel, reference points. You get always reference points. And these reference points, you can't rub them out. They're always there. It's then just going back to them, you know what I mean? And implement them again. And then all answers are in plain sight, as it has been mentioned many times. But just that, for me, man, we came and we materialized. We turned into flesh, and we turned into a perfect human. Not into something that is completely functional. That has been done not by any human. That's just source. That's just where we came from. And that is so powerful to me that so at the end, from a moment when we're born, as we know, the wrong food gets put into us. Like we then as humans do everything pretty much wrong all the way through until we leave. Because once we leave, everything is back to not the perfect cycle, but back into the cycle. So think about, so leave the time when we're here, we do so many things wrong, and we learn that through a process of fasting that, gee, I shouldn't really be doing this. And that's just then a matter of how long can you, or how can you work with that, you know what I mean? Simple as that. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. It is that simple, and it is about having that faith and that trust. And I do have that for sure. But I also do like to sometimes ask those questions, even though I know that it doesn't matter. None of that matters. All that matters is reconnection and digging in and connecting with source, like you say. So and that is simple. So yeah, no, thank you, bro. Thank you.
See, another thing is just when we were thinking about. They call it the heavenly eyes. When you actually, when you were not in flesh, you can understand everything. Everything is clear. And then we come and turn into flesh, and then we lose that. We lose the heavenly eyes.
Yeah.
We just can't comprehend. I don't know why it is this, but nature would have a reason for it, for sure. And then when you go again, you have, it comes again. You know what I mean? Just that process. So many things we can question, but so many things, as you said, you just got to trust where you come from, the source, you know what I mean? Because it will not let you down. Impossible. Yeah.
Definitely.
With heavenly eyes, that was something that I've sort of got caught up on. It's funny, I mean, people sometimes call it the third eye and all the rest of it, but it's really the heavenly eyes that you then connected to, to basically source.
Yeah.
And we seem to have lost that when we materialize into flesh.
Exactly. All humans, not only now, it's been like all along since humans were created. We were created with challenges. We are perfect, like a perfect creation, but like we were, it's like in the holy books, from what I understand, at least in the Quran, it does say that we come here challenged. We will be distracted, so we will lose our. It's easy to be distracted and lose the path. So you have to connect. You have to connect source. Some people call it source. Some people call it the creator, God. But it's the same. We're referring to the same thing. We have to trust, right? We have the faith, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the other thing is the fountain of wisdom, or wisdom in itself. How do you find wisdom? Wisdom can only be found, from my point of view, within yourself. You can't find it anywhere else. It comes from within yourself. Think about how much through the fasting process and the manifest process have we gained of clarity and wisdom within ourselves, because everything happened within ourselves. So it can only come from within yourself. It's not by listening to somebody else. That's not how wisdom comes. That's an inspiration and a stimulation. But the actual turning around, the opening of knots, the understanding of certain things can only come from within.
Absolutely.
So the more you look for external wisdom, the less you will find it, because it has to come from within. So the more you listen inwards, and how much more can you listen inwards?
But yeah,
by fasting.
Yeah, I mean, there is wisdom that would teach you to learn how to listen.
But the actual wisdom that when it appears into you, when it actually triggers you, when it makes sense, is within.
Definitely.
Always is within.
Yeah. There is wisdom that would teach you to learn to your higher self, or build your faith. That this is like that. There are teachings like that, right? There are many teachings that would teach you how to connect, and that's definitely the biggest. That is the true wisdom, right? When you can feel it, you cannot just learn it. You have to live it. You have to feel it. You can read
Yeah,
it.
it's got to come from within yourself.
Yeah.
When things happen within, when it opens up, and it then it sort of materializes in your mind. It comes into, whoa, that's what it is. Oh, I understand. And that's that only happens from within, not from outside.
And it's hard to know who's going to it's not easy, you can't teach it to anyone. You can I guess you can share, but people have to feel it. You can share, but they have to love it. They have to feel it. You cannot, you cannot teach faith. Like you can share, but you cannot do it for someone, or
Through the experience comes in.
And I mean, it's a good old saying, I can show you, but I can't make you understand. The understanding has to happen within yourself. Because people, remember when some people, you tell them something and they just don't understand, that they haven't understood what you were saying, but that's a process that is within. Only when it's like, look, like from a very physical point of view, learning maths, what's 2 times 2? Like that's something that has to come from within. It's something you can't teach. Once that is there, it goes, and so it's all around. Simple as that.
Over the years, I've given, Arnold Ehret's Rational Fasting book. I have it on a Google document, and I've given it to so many people. Like, I can't even tell you, like, all the people, I meet people on the subway or whatever, and I give it to them, give it to my friends. And of all the people that I've given the book to, I've gotten feedback from one person who's one of my closest friends, who, it's kind of interesting because, like, when you tell somebody, okay, fast, it's really good for you, it's the only way to truly heal, some people just say, oh yeah. And you know what I find really interesting is that in the United States anyway, like the African American community in the United States, generally speaking, they're way more open to the idea of fasting than the white population in the United States. Like, you tell them you fast or you talk to them, and it's probably because of their culture where, you had people who they had to cure themselves. They were slaves or whatever, and they didn't have a choice. So they were way more open over the centuries, over the decades. They were way more open to the idea of natural healing and to fasting, and it was maintained in their culture. And we lost it centuries ago, but for whatever reason, it just seems like you talk to African American people and they're like, oh yeah, fasting, like my uncle does that all the time, and they just get it right away. But like some people, you give them the Arnold Ehret book and they just get it right away. But really, there might have been another one that I'm not thinking of, but there's really only one person who actually just swallowed it hook, line, and sinker from the very beginning. You know what I mean? And it just blows my mind, because like, you give it to somebody, even people who are into herbs, into essential oils, into all sorts of new ageism, you give the book to them, and it's like, did you read that book? And they're like, Yeah, I think so. Like, what do you mean you think so? You either read it or you didn't, you know? People just do not, they just do not get it. They don't accept it. They don't even put any thought into it. It blows my mind.
Challenging everything they've been taught. Everything you've been taught is being challenged.
Yeah.
People do not want to face that.
It's really a mind blower. It's almost comical, you know?
It's everything. It's not just food. It's everything. Everything you learned in school is BS. You know, we were just talking about history and what should be, you know, the history. Everything is just BS. It's what they want it to be.
You know, what I've seen in all these years is unless somebody's truly ready to make changes for their health, that book will not mean anything to them.
I've given away 4 or 5 copies of the Mucusless Diet.
I used to give it as a gift. I used to buy a bunch of copies of it just to give it to random people, you know?
Not worth anything when you receive it as a gift.
No.
Yeah. But it's funny how, like, even the one person in mind who I was telling you about who just followed it hook, line, and sinker, and he was just on the program, like all I had to do was walk him into a raw vegan restaurant called Cafe Gratitude. And I walked him in there, and he was just like, this is what I want. Like, he just, you know, he took a smell, he took a whiff when he walked in the building, and he just got it, you know, and then I gave him the book, and like, so yeah, it's a good point. If you're not, it's just like,
Yeah, I think you have to be searching for something. You're not going to take somebody that's not searching.
You know, taking care of your own health is not something that we're taught. You're taught that when you don't feel well, go to your doctor. That's the main thing. So they're going to take care of you. Me take care of my health? What do you mean? It's not the way it is. I got to go to my doctor. If there's a hospital down the street for emergencies, blah, blah, blah. That's the mentality out there. So taking care of your own health, no, that's been wiped out with this new mainstream medicine. When people lived on their own in farms in the wild, they took care of their own health.
yeah.
No,
yeah, it's like
a much more fulfilled life.
Yeah, so
Well, that comes back to that function of a family.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, and there's one thing we learn from history that we don't learn from history. As simple as that. That's what we learn, that we don't learn. And look back in yourself. How many times can you say that to yourself? I've learned from history that I've actually haven't learned from history. You know, and then you start at square one again. It's a funny thing, but it's
true.
I know that the art of communicating with other people is such a challenge, but I know someone gave me as a gift Arnold Ehret's Mucusless Diet Healing System when I was coming into college, and I could not put it down. It just, you know, it's like something that I just knew from past lives. I don't know what, but something I couldn't put down. And then I started seeing how many great people through history had fasted. So I was excited to know what it was to fast. And I tried it, and I got all this benefit. And then it was so easy to just forget everything that I experienced. So it was fun to find this group again.
Yeah.
I'm learning about the importance of women being able to not to be afraid to speak out, to speak up about what they're experiencing, what they think and feel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody. has the right to speak up
Mhm.
and share and inspire and support.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm sure we can, somehow influence each other. But it's. I think it's all about. I mean, it has to do with the communication, the way we communicate, with whoever we want to help, and also, I guess the other thing is be patient with them, right? We have to be very patient if we be the change that we want to see, right?
Right.
Be an example.
Yeah, hi Barbara, Tatiana, Joy, Elaine. And, awesome to see you guys here on the 4th of July. The US, what's happening? Any big parties or they canceled it?
There's no fireworks. 95% of them come from China, and I don't think they made it here this year.
'Cause, our prime minister canceled Canada.
Yeah,
But there were still fireworks the day before.
not much. I don't hear anything. Couple things.
It's okay. It's not good for nature anyway.
No, it's not.
But that's not the point.
Hey,
And you have,
I picked a red tomato today and gave it to my wife. I'm fasting. I got a red tomato by the 4th of July. I haven't had that happen in years.
Wow.
It's very hot, though.
So it was good. So
Tomatoes love heat.
mm. Hey, I wanted to ask Steve something.
sure.
Last week you were talking about we were talking generally about living with other people and how hard it is to live with people when you're on a different eating regimen, and how it can break up relationships or whatever. And Steve was talking about how his body changed after he went through, the Master Fast system. And I thought, I mean, we're in mixed company here, but I thought he was referring to the boudoir. So I was wondering if you meant your body change, if you were talking about your drive, your libido. And I might have taken that wrong, but I thought that's what you were talking about.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. Okay,
I wasn't
because
talking about it. I wasn't referencing that at all.
oh yeah, because I was listening to you, and then I thought, oh gosh, he's talking about libido, but I wasn't sure. So I'm sorry I brought it up, but I wanted to ask you.
Yeah,
If
maybe.
anything, it's probably dropped off a bit. I don't know if that could be aging too.
Well, that's the thing. I was listening to Elatom, and he had this, Elatom. Everyone is this breatharian guy, that Gino interviewed. If you don't know, but he was speaking with this lovely woman somewhere from the Canary Islands or somewhere in Africa or someplace. And they were talking about libido and how they were both essentially breatharians, and there's this, essentially Elatom was saying that, it's just not even an issue. When you get to that level of dry fasting and that level of existence, it really is not a concern. I think that's the gist of what they were both saying. And they were essentially saying that abstinence is the highest order. But I'm interested in that generally. And So like, yeah. And then my friend, I didn't see this other video with Ella Tom, but my friend told me that he was talking about touching things like tactile things like petting a dog, and how he gets energy from just really simple things like petting a dog and that sort of thing. So I don't really have a question now because Steve corrected me, but I just wanted to get what you guys think about those topics, if you don't mind. You know, I'm almost 60. I'll be 59 this year, and like, so I'm concerned with, you know, my body changing and stuff like that.
Libido, you know, the more fasting you do, the more you're not going to be, you have any thought in the direction of that sexual stuff. The more you eat the seed, the more you will be drawn to those desires. Seed goes to seed.
What?
So
What are you saying?
seed goes to seed. Same in basic universal law. If you eat the animal products, heavy animal products, you will be hornier. If you eat lots of seeds, fats, which comes from seeds, you will be hornier.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because that's the carnal desire. If you fast, you won't have those false desires. Of course, I don't know if many of you know, but there's also artificial thought processes that they can implement in our heads now. That you can have thoughts that you believe are yours, but they're not. Anyway, that's another technology they've had for many, many years. So that's why the world is cuckoo to some degree. But when you are in a cleaner, healthier state, the false desires are not there. But when there's intimacy, there's all the energy and you need to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
way more than when you're eating heavy foods like the, you know, like if you eat, go have a steak, you're gonna get hornier. You know what I mean? But to performance-wise,
like you're
no
not
comparison.
gonna feel it as much as when you're
No.
cleaner, and like, you know, when you're cleaner, you're more connected, and like, it's more like
yeah.
experience, right?
Well, wait, but okay, so you're not saying two things, because like Dr. Ehret says, like Mucusless Diet Healing System, there's a whole section on sex, right? There are like 2 sections or whatever, but like he says that when 2 people are truly clean, there's no comparison. Like it's just like the closest thing to heaven when you're bonding and you're truly clean. And so that's what you're saying, right? That's,
Yeah, you know, if you understand fields, there does not have to be physical contact to create another soul. There has to be the true intent and emotion from both parties. They call it immaculate conception, right?
yeah, virgin birth. Wow. So yeah, so like, and you feel that's not a myth, that's actual reality.
From the understanding we have now, yeah, this is how all we see everything here in this planet happen. Even though we are physical beings, that's how everything came here. Everything in the universe comes through fields. So why would that be any different? There has to be that true intent and emotion, true, without doubt, and that'll happen. What was the other thing you were talking about?
You mean, what do you mean? Like what I was asking to hear?
There's 2 things you you were asking? I forgot the other one.
Well, I was asking Steve if he was referring to his intimate life, but I don't know. I was talking about Dr. Arrett and Professor Arrett and how
Professor
like,
over there. Yeah, he wasn't a doctor.
I know, yeah. I always call him Dr. Arrett, but just that section of the book where it was very it made a huge impression on me when I read it so long ago about that, you know, and I thought, wow, I'd like to have a partner where like we were on the same page, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Your chances with MasterFast are better than anywhere else.
What?
Your chances with MFS are better than
There
anywhere
are-
else.
There are some young guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
The MFS dating service.
But
Hey, you know what?
along those lines, though,
It did cross my
you know,
mind.
there's a few over the last few years. The woman that does my colonics, for one, there was an instant connection between us. Nothing physical, ever. How does that happen? I mean, it was instantaneous. The minute we met,
That's awesome.
and it's intimate. I mean, first of all, between a client and a Ronald will attest to this. That's between somebody who's administering a colonic to you and you. That in itself is intimate, right? But even before I got on our table, there was just this instant connection. I've had that a few times over my lifetime, where there was an instant connection to somebody else, not necessarily the opposite sex either. That's all feels,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The souls connect. You know, I don't know if anybody's ever had that experience.
Yeah, of course.
But when you say, I mean, fields, it's the way you guys use it. If you're not going to talk in scientific terms, it's a very general, abstract word.
Your beliefs.
What science?
No, I'm just saying it's abstract. So like, I mean, in other words, how do you distinguish that from the idea of reincarnation? So like, if you have a bond with somebody instantly, like to me, I just think about reincarnation, but you know, it's just another word, right? So like, how do you just make a distinction between your understanding of fields? I mean, you know, it's a perfectly fine word. It's just so abstract. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, because if you're talking about something that has many subtleties or connection between two people who meet for the first time, and you say, well, it's the fields.
Well, I
Then-
had the same thing happen in the gardens between me and the plant.
Pardon?
I feel the same thing in the garden between me and the plants. There's a flow. There's an energy flow.
Like an energy flow. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, different wording.
Yeah. Well, it's just that like the word that would come quickest to my mind would be reincarnation. You know, and that's all. It's no big deal, but
Maybe more energy flow.
I was just wondering, like, how are you
An
using?
energy exchange is all it is,
Yeah.
or interaction.
Reincarnation would be maybe a different idea.
We are energy.
Hmm.
And did you talk about it with her? Like when you realized it, did you ask her or did you talk about it with her?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
We've become very close friends over the last year and a half.
That's cool.
That's
True
beautiful.
friends. True friends at the soul level. It's freaking rare. Really rare.
Well, you know what's funny is that Zahir was talking about chard, right?
Yeah,
You said you had a salad with chard
it was a soup.
and soup. Yeah, yeah. And like I had this thing like I can't eat raw chard. It makes me feel like I'm catching a cold as soon as I eat raw chard. And then last night, you know how the leaves on a beet are very similar to chard. They're like waxy, like they look like chard, but they're smaller on a beet. And then they have that waxy texture, that kind of bitter, waxy texture if you eat the beet greens. And like last night, I took a beet and I put it in a smoothie, and I had some like bitter greens. I just made a smoothie. It was just like some leftover stuff, but I took about half a beet and I put it in the smoothie and I had it, and I had the same feeling where I was almost felt like I was catching a cold. But then if a cooked beet is like something that sits with me better than just about any other food I can think of.
Higher order.
What?
You brought it to a higher order when you cooked it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's weird. It's like chard. I just, out of all the greens, leafy greens, I like it the least. And the
Yeah.
reason is I always feel like I'm getting sick.
Don't you?
I have to say, I really
Yeah.
don't like raw chard either. That chard was meant to be in a green juice. That was part of my green juice shopping list. But yeah, so it was never meant to even get eaten anyway. But yeah, much better cooked. I don't like it raw for some reason.
Yeah.
But I avoid all leaves anyway. I mean, I'm trying to stick to just if I'm going to have veggies, I just get zucchini and tomato, cucumber, and squash, and keep it really simple with seaweed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love seaweed.
I've
But
always
yeah,
liked
it's like,
kale and salads.
Kale
Do you massage?
is more delicious.
Kale, no,
Do you massage the kale?
you can.
Yeah, soften it up.
Yeah. At the beginning, I ate tons and tons and tons of kale salads, but yeah, it says, there's so many things. You got to find what your system can digest better raw, and then stick with those. Some things will work better if they're mildly steamed, but as we say, when we go into the cooked side, we're gonna want more cooked. So it's okay, but you have to be able to handle
Trigger. It's got a trigger.
the cooked foods. The energy at the higher order are so much stronger, but to process their physicality, it's harder. It's weird, but this is the way we have this understanding. So you're drinking the juice of something. There's no physicality that you have to deal with the fiber and all that. It's just the juice going through, and it's also very powerful at cleansing physically. Like yesterday.
You're talking about if you strain it, right? Like if you strain out the insoluble fiber from green juice.
Yeah.
But if you're juicing kale and you have all the insoluble fiber in it,
So
it's like a meal.
That's smoothie. That's a smoothie.
Yeah, I'm talking about salad versus a juice. It's two different things. But a smoothie, okay, it's broken up, but it's still fiber.
Yeah. Yeah, because if I have kale, I strain it. The only thing I keep whole is like romaine lettuce or butter lettuce, because it's so much gentler.
Yeah, I like lettuce too. Yeah, lettuce is my favorite, maybe.
Like yesterday, I accidentally cooked down a bottle of juice to less than half. And I drank it, and boy, oh boy, I wouldn't recommend to do that.
That'd be sweet as hell.
No, it's very, very potent.
Yeah. Concentrating the sugars.
Oh boy, yeah, the sweetness is not the problem. Well, it's very, very strong.
Like drugs. Last day juice.
And he was healing yesterday. So.
You mean you're talking about
watermelon
grape juice?
Yeah, the grape. Yeah,
Grape juice.
I like drinking it warm a lot. So I drink it cold too, but I like drinking it warm. So I just forgot the fuck out on the stove went there. Oh man, it was more than half gone. I'm never good at cooking. I always burn things. I wasn't meant for cooking. Keep things simple. You know, before juicing, smoothies, salads, occasion, that's all I used to do. You know, very fast, very simple, easy to clean. And preparing all this stuff, oh man, too much work.
That'll work.
Sip on some juice and you're done.
I'm excited because I just invested in a Japanese spiralizer. Spent about 70 quid on it, and I'm excited about that because I've got a noodle addiction problem. I'm always thinking about noodles.
They're good. Yeah. We got a couple of those spiralizers.
Yeah.
Not the Japanese
Yeah,
one, the cheap one.
We have 4 spiralizers here, I think.
3, 4, yeah, maybe 3, 4.
You have 3 and I have 1.
I thought I gave one away, but anyway.
I just thought get a one that's going to last a few years, you know.
Yeah,
The
but
blades.
that made
Cut it. Chiba's the make. Yeah, it's the Kai 10 model.
Is it electric?
No, it's manual. It's manual, so. But yeah, it's meant to be really, really good. So I need to.
Nice.
I bought one many, many years ago. I still have the original one, and I use that one a lot. I use it a lot.
So the one he has is it makes it like very fine, like angel hair, right? Whereas mine is thicker, the regular one, which is a little bit thicker.
Yeah, this one's got different blades, so you can do everything from super fine, like vermicelli fine, to the really, and a couple of options in between. So it's going to be
horizontal or vertical?
horizontal, yeah, horizontal.
Are you gonna have raw or cooked?
Well, I mean, raw as much as possible, but then obviously I'll treat myself. I mean, you know, I'll have some. I'm looking forward to having some cooked squash, cooked zucchini noodles.
What you can do is you can spiralize it raw, right, and then just warm it up.
Or steam it?
It's a whole different experience, warmed in room temperature, but it's not cooked, right?
Yeah.
I use my own, well, I make my own tomato sauce. So I warm that up and put it over the raw.
Nice.
Yeah, it works out really well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So you you kind of blend the tomatoes, right?
Oh no, I make big batch.
Nice.
I make it every year at the end of the season.
And you don't cook it?
Oh yeah, I cook the sauce, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cooked.
That's good.
It's not raw. That's cooked.
Yeah, but you can.
I can, like jars. So
I know, you have to cook it, right?
If you have fresh tomato, you can do fresh
But
tomatoes.
it's
Just
totally
warm it up.
fine.
fresh tomatoes. Well, yeah, that's if you want it that way.
I'm thinking, yeah, if you have lots of tomatoes, just
You saw my pictures. I got a few tomatoes.
Awesome,
Yeah.
not awesome garden.
I don't think cooked tomatoes are. I mean, I used to think they're bad, very acidic, but not anymore. They're fine, right?
It's like
Tomatoes-
anything else. I don't look at chemistry like I used to.
Nope.
You can get
I
caustic.
made it with eggplant in it last year. Boy, is that good. Oh,
I love eggplant. I love baba ganoush.
eggplant in the sauce.
Mm.
Aubergine. Really good.
The Asian,
Oh. Hot?
long Asian eggplants.
No, the standard.
No, but I'm talking about the long Asian one.
Yeah.
Those you eat them like bread. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Raw. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
With your spaghetti.
They're good, but they're not
They're awesome.
I haven't had spaghetti in a long time.
like bread.
I mean, spiralized spaghetti.
How bad is our 100% buckwheat noodles? I know they're bad, but how bad?
Buckwheat is a seed, right?
It's not really a grain, right? Yeah, it's
Grain. It's like they're called like fruit nodules or something like that. There's a really weird name for them.
Rhubarb, isn't it? Somehow.
Huh?
Related to rhubarb, I believe, buckwheats.
Really?
some people have
I love
challenged.
soba.
Yeah, I haven't had that stuff in a long time.
I mean, yeah, you'll find that if you overdo it, you're going to get obstructed. So just watch. And it's best to get things as least processed as possible, I feel. So instead of getting noodles, just get the buckwheat.
Yeah.
Have zucchini noodles instead.
Yeah. I guess it's good to avoid flours, anything made from flour anyway, but once in a while.
Yeah, that once in a while is how we get in trouble.
It's okay. We have to.
It's okay once in a while, yeah.
We have to go, through the challenges to learn, right? You can't just learn everything by reading. But, just figure it out. Your body will tell you. You'll know.
Yeah, Kurt, I just seen your message about abstinence, immaculate conception. We went through that.
How are you doing, Tatiana?
Very good. I am still fasting. Day 23. It's so I don't even feel like I'm fasting. I just
Exactly.
smooth sailing. I'm sure the reactions are going to come,
But whatever.
yeah. Right now, I'm very much enjoying it. Yeah, I remember my first week of MFS. It was this, I really felt it, and by the end, I've never felt emptier, and it was felt like a big difference. But just now, I just feel totally normal.
The first week you feel the difference, right? You're saying?
Yeah. And even I haven't lost my weight at all, which is very surprising to me.
Amazing.
I guess it's the body that really quickly learns to
Adapt.
do it. Yeah.
Your body's adapting well.
Yeah. Which is very interesting to observe. And yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, energy, I'm more creative. I still can't believe everything I'm releasing.
How long are you gonna go for?
I would like to go for 40.
Nice.
If if God allows.
Stay inside.
Yeah. And then go back to my level 4 or 5 as a nice balance. Yeah. I guess that doing that for a few months really helped me feel okay now, I think.
Yeah. So you did for level 4 or 5?
Yeah.
This one, right?
Yeah. I think I did it for 4 months. Yeah. And now I'm doing this. And then back here.
Great. You're doing great.
Thank you. I had a little bit of confrontation though with my brother just before this call, and that was quite sad. But
Regarding your fasting?
yeah, because he's never counted that. But he actually did 2 days of fasting. He tried MFS, and he thought it was great, but he also is not there with doing it all the time, but I think it planted a seed of what's possible.
Right.
You can ask for.
Yeah.
Why is he opposing you?
Because it's just so different from everything you see, right? Because I guess our close ones care that we're putting ourselves in danger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you said your weight is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
It's usually the weight that scares the family. So.
Yeah, I guess here was the number.
The number.
Which I wasn't planning on sharing, but someone directly asked me. So.
Because you're not sharing with them anymore, right? You're not eating with them.
Yeah. Which I always ate little, but and yeah, it was kind of even before MFS, I was doing some juice fasting and things like this. So
Your longest juice fast.
longest juice was just 14 days. Yeah, so I'm going longer than I have gone before, so which is exciting for me.
How was your eating after?
It was fine. Fruits. I ate fruits for a while after that.
Was it 2 weeks of master fast?
No, that was just regular just before I knew about Master Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I ended the conversation on, just the focus on love. We can agree to disagree. Each person makes the decision for themselves, but it comes down to, he knows I don't support everything that he's doing, but I said the important thing is that we send each other love and support each other and create an environment of love, because that's what matters more than what you're putting in or not putting in. We ended on peace. But it's just a bit, and I know we all face that when people come at us with worry and my mom started doing one day a week Master Fast.
Wow, awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been doing that for 4 weeks now, which is very cool. And I wanted to ask you about that actually. So she's in her 50s, and she's gradually stopped eating meat. I think over the past, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And she never really ate much. She's a minimal eater, and she would just have meals on weekends, very little during the week. But I was just wondering what you think about people adjusting their lifestyle like that. I don't know, eating a certain way and then doing the regular diet. I mean, it was like home cooked stuff and more natural stuff. But and then one day a week MFS, and I think she's going to have fish sometimes.
This is beautiful. That's why, we brought out these levels so anybody can jump in and enjoy that and give their body a break and time to rest and do some healing. And it's, so aggressive that it's going to start stripping everything away and throw them off. 1 day a week, 2 days a week, big deal.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
You're a good influence in your family. Sure, you had a little conflict with your brother, but it happens. This is family. But you have done a great job so far with them.
Yeah, so she's not jumping in doing 40, 100 days or whatever, and then gonna go cuckoo like so many have. This is the way you do it. For most people, this is the way. And some people just stay at that in 1 or 2 days, and they'll be fine. And, they'll be happy, and they'll reap some of the benefits.
50 days a year, 52 days a year.
Exactly.
A lot of fasting.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Yeah, that she makes this stuff for her health, which is means so much to all of us. So that's great. I was just wondering, about lifestyle change later on in life, because some people like to put fear stories out there where they make some change in this healthful direction, but it actually is does the opposite for them. I think there's many nuances, many ways that it can go wrong. Maybe someone's doing just lots of grains and vegetables, you don't know. But the body is used to living a certain way, and then you're making these adjustments later in life. And obviously we have a bunch of people who are examples of that. I know I even listened to the interview of a woman who was in her 80s, right? Who saw amazing results. And I'm just wondering about lifestyle changes later in life.
I was in my
stopping eating meat, like her.
I was in my 50s.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
Now early 60s.
So there's lots of people have done this. There's lots of people have gone bonkers. We completely changed their lifestyle to raw foodists, and then a couple of years later, 3 years later, bang, they go back to something cuckoo like eating raw meat. There's all kinds out there. How can you relay what your experience is going to be with what anybody else? It's what you focus on. If you're truly focused on getting healthier, then you're going to make steps in that direction, step by step, prudently, wisely, and know that these are going to be steps that have to be maintained and sustained throughout your life, and continue to improve on them. And not some kind of event thing where everything is going to go away and go back to where you were. If that's the attitude, okay, you're going to have that experience and you're going to be miserable for a while coming out of that if you survive, and blah, blah, blah. So there's many ways of looking at it. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever one wants to do. But if somebody has the intent to move in the direction of healthier, and that's a great way to start. And then, you know, has she read the MFS protocol? Has she read it?
No, I'd tell her everything.
Oh. Does she read English?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can have say read it. Just go through it. See if you know. Just so she has an idea, and say, and just recommend that one day a week is wonderful for you now, and stick with that for a while, 6 months or something, and see how it goes. See, maybe once in a while, throw in 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And just stay with that for a while.
Maybe she can come and join us here. I don't know, but somehow to get her to or Facebook Live, you know.
Come on, just think, it's a massive amount more percentage than anybody else is doing out there.
Yeah.
You know, people that dwell to fasting, they may jump in for a few days and that's it. They're done for the year.
Yeah.
Or somebody's brave a week or 2 or 3, and then they're done for a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That's, you know, fasting is taken on as an event to fix a problem. And that's the challenge for most of us. Instead of looking at fasting and making it as part of your lifestyle.
So that's great that she's doing it 1 day a week as a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's awesome.
And it's another thing for us to connect over, which is wonderful. So, yeah.
And
I also wanted, sorry, go ahead.
the other days, maybe she can get into our, or maybe another day, she can get into Master Fast Hybrid. So she's eating 1 meal or 2, you know? And then,
Yeah, I think, you know, as she
Many
goes with it. Yeah. I also wanted to ask you, should, I guess it probably doesn't matter so much, but I'm just wondering, when you're in you're starting your dry fast, should the pudding be out of your body, or it doesn't matter if some of it is still in?
No, it doesn't matter if it's still in. Most likely, if you're on Master Fast, you're going to have pudding in your GI tract. You're taking it every day on the liquid days.
24 hours makes
So,
right.
like you're going to start your dry fast today. You're ready with your tinctures, this and that. And you're going to take your plasma pudding. Do less on that day. Do a lot less. Maybe like 1 teaspoon. And then, you know, drink a little bit and then do your bubbly and you're off. If you don't, because if you're looking at 1 day, even up to 3 days, you don't really worry about it. If you're going to be focusing on doing a long season change, then you want to clear out that GI tract very well. You want to be on liquids for a few days or a week, really clear out, you know, everything. And that's the way I look at it. The clearer it is, the easier it is to be on the dry fast. But we're talking short, your weekly, your monthly. 3 days is not really a long dry fast.
Yeah.
These sound a lot for newbies, but it's not that long. Most people from all walks of life, I would probably say between 90 to 95%, maybe I'm off, could do a 3-day dry fast. Maybe it could be a little bit less percentage, you know what I mean?
But build
It
yourself
won't be
slowly.
easy,
I mean, then
but
build yourself slowly. There's no need to rush.
I'm just saying, if somebody's on a lot of drugs and stuff,
I mean, even for the average person, it's hard to do a 3-day dry. My first 3-day dry was hard.
Yeah, there's some people eating like whatever, and they do 3 days, no problem. So it's hard to say. We don't know. I'm just saying that most.
But you know, you have the rest of your life, so you know, every
But
month increase a little bit.
The thing is that what's a
I
3?
did 5 days of eating right up to it. It was easy.
Yeah. What's a 3-day or 5-day dry
I
fast?
do 3 days now in Master Fast. It's not as easy as that. But just because it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's a 3 or 5-day dry fast going to do for you when you're eating heavy obstructive foods? Is the thing that I ask, and it's not beneficial doing this in the long term, from my understanding, in my experience. The GI tract to make the dry fast shine.
Great. And I was wondering on the like 1, 2, 3-day dry fast, is it okay to rehydrate with just 1 liter of grape juice that day that you rehydrate, or you should have the 2?
For when you go to the 1 day, you should be able to go to your regular 2 liters.
It depends when you drink it, right? If you can drink.
Yeah. If you're breaking it, you should be breaking it early in the day, right? If you're doing a 3-day, you can take it easier. You know what I mean? If slow down, don't force yourself to drink. Let the body adapt slowly for that 1 day. The next day, you should be able to get up to the 2 liters again for most people.
These are good questions.
You've been sitting in the
That's awesome.
back of my mind. Thank you so much. I've been listening to these calls just from my phone and watching all the videos, and feel like I know you all. I know you don't know me, but love you very much, and thank you so much for what you share. And I'm so glad we're all fasting together and raising the PLAF.
We have met twice, right? Twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited for when you open back up, Rana.
Somebody's got to do it, so I guess it was me.
Tatiana, where are you located, Tatiana? Where are you located?
I'm outside of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of meeting Rana twice.
Oh, nice.
So lucky.
Where are you, Tatiana?
In Oakville.
Oakville, yes.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have questions about the tinctures, because I was told to put them in the refrigerator, to not put them in the refrigerator, and I was trying to also whether it's okay to combine them and take them, together, or you're supposed to keep them all separate.
I think those questions are all answered, Barbara, but quickly, you don't have to refrigerate the MFS tinctures. They're 50% alcohol. Keep them dark covered, fine. They'll last you forever. If you don't use them, they just get better with age. Can't speak for anybody else's tinctures out there, but these ones, they get better with age. And as far as mixing them all together, you can, but I would not mix all of them all together. If you want to do that to quicken your time, which many people want to do, you do like a week's worth, and you mix that all together, and then you calculate how much of your dosage would that make, for 12 tinctures times whatever, 1 ml or 2 ml, and that's how much you take of all the tinctures mixed. Every time you take them, give them a good little shake, because there's sediments. Some of the properties of different herbs are heavier than others, especially when you mix more of them. So there's many herbs in there, and away you go. But I always like to have separate. We always keep ours separate, and we have small amounts mixed all together, so we quicken our time to take it. And if you need extra of one, you still have the one. If you have them all done, you lost that capability.
Like,
Or if you want to eliminate one of the tinctures, for example, you want to reduce your lymphatic herbs because your kidneys are in pain, you won't be able to do that.
Mhm.
So that's why we suggest leave the majority of it always together. I mean, separate, sorry, separate.
And about being put in the refrigerator, and about whether it can be in a canteen or not, as opposed to glass. As you know, if I'm traveling.
Well, when we ship the bigger bottles, we can't ship in glass anymore. We've had breakages and they don't cover glass, so it's just too much of expense for us. So when we ship the bigger ones, 501 liter, we ship it in plastic. So it gets made and stored in glass, gets shipped in plastic, but we've tested in the plastic that we got, and we have not seen any change to the tincture's quality, odors, or anything, because they're saturated, the air tinctures. They're completely saturated. If you want, just put them back in glass. I always like glass the best.
Glass.
Right? So,
I put mine back in glass.
yeah, you know, for long term, I would say it's the best. But just because the shipping thing, we're not, unless somebody absolutely requests glass, they want to pay more and they're not worried about if anything breaks, they'll buy it again. Otherwise, we won't ship it.
Yeah, I was worried about, like, I know the kombucha in metal takes in properties of the metal and can hurt people. So I wondered about, you know, everything that was in the tinctures, if it was in a canteen, if there was any danger in that. And I'm also,
It's made out of stainless.
Yeah.
Is it stainless? Yeah.
I think they're stainless.
I don't know, they're selling a lot of, you know, canteen things for running around with your drinks during the day.
Why don't you get a glass?
Oh, just during the day, I wouldn't worry about it. Put it in there. Who cares? I'm talking about long storage. Yeah.
Why don't you
And
get
then,
glass? You can get a glass bottle.
and then as far as being in the refrigerator, I had a friend that thought that was a really terrible thing to do, but I don't know why.
You don't have to. Why would you put them
No,
in?
it's a terrible thing. It won't affect. It doesn't affect them, but it doesn't need to be
Yeah,
in the fridge. Is what I mean. So if you want to put it in the fridge, you can, but it won't affect.
no trouble. Yeah, thank you. Those are my questions.
Like if you look at all these aged cognacs and whiskeys and so on and so forth, some of them are, you know, 18, 25 years old or whatever. They're stored in glass and they're not in the fridge, right? Because they're alcohol. They're
Hmm.
40% or more alcohol, you know, the ones that are aged. So, you know, ours are 50%. The more alcohol, the longer the storage capability,
Hmm.
and the better the quality gets. I remember many years ago, there was a Weiser's 18-year-old whiskey that's made here in Canada that somebody at the liquor store told us about when we were in our drinking days. And he goes, buy this one. It was like $20 back then. And compared to anything else for that age, it was cheap. So we started buying this. It was really good for that price range. And one time I went to buy this whiskey and I lucked out. They used to have the dates when they bottled it on the bottles. And I lucked out finding bottles that were like 40, 50 years old.
Mm.
And I go, and we tasted this stuff and it was like amazing cognac. And then all my friends would be going to liquor stores looking for dates. And every once in a while we'd be finding an old bottle until they were all gone. But it was interesting to see what age does to alcohol, what alcohol, you know, what age can do.
Uh-huh.
This is, you know, age that does something to improve them. It smoothens them out, it changes their energy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not that I'm advocating drinking alcohol.
I like laughing.
I'm just telling you the story of what we've experienced. So I've experienced what something aged tastes better. You know, aged wine tastes better. Why? And you pay more for it because of the time that people spent to store it and so on and so forth. So,
Mhm.
and the energy and the intent and emotion, there's a lot going in there. So if you buy tinctures and you store them, you know, you're putting that intent and emotion. I want these, you know, for a rainy day in the future, they will be better.
Thank you.
So all that information, when you send the tinctures, you have like, that's not on the protocol, so you have like separate instructions for how to use the tinctures.
It's all in the protocol. Nothing comes with the tinctures.
Really?
John,
It's on the protocol?
we're living in a weird, really strange age where it's
You can't, I understand, you can't put it in.
for anything.
Yeah. But I don't recall, like you were talking about like precise amounts and like using more or less, like, and like whether you separate it or not. I don't recall seeing that on the, I was just wondering.
Though the separate, you know, many people have asked on the board many times.
What?
On the board in the Facebook group
The tinctures?
about putting them separate. Many people have asked that.
Okay, yeah, because I don't read the Facebook group very much.
Yeah,
You can search.
Lots of good info there.
yeah. If you just search is wiki, MFS wiki. If you just common sense say, okay, when I'm taking the tinctures, I'm mixing them all together. I can drink it. So common sense is, yeah, I can mix them all together. No big deal. But I'm telling you why it's not wise to do it all. So you have them individual. That's the only thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
When you're storing them, yeah.
Because if you look at each formula has what? How many herbs in them? From anywhere from 6
Yeah, there's too many to keep track of.
to
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many beautiful herbs.
we don't want to overthink things. We keep things simple. The dosages are not exact. In and around that dosage. Don't go crazy on measuring exact. Just be around in and around there. You don't have to go nuts. And some days you're gonna maybe I feel like I need a little more tinctures today, or some days maybe I need a little less today. Make it happen. You know, don't be worry about it. It's you start being more in tune the more you go into fasting. Believe me, and that's an awesome thing to be in. Right, be in tune with your soul. The tinctures will speak to you. Believe you me, they really do. They are packed with information and support. That's why we use them. And I can't see myself fasting, not at this point in life, without them still now. Maybe sometime in the distant future, I'll say I'm done with everything, but for right now, at least I want tinctures versus the grape juice. That's my personal view, because they're packed with information. You know.
Well, if I could say, like when I first came to the Zoom sessions, I did, like I was telling you guys, those two 40-hour dry fast, and like I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was doing MFS, and I was doing fruit days in MFS, but I got a huge benefit from that anyway. Like I felt so grounded from 2 40-hour fasts. And one of the big things I did that was a major lifestyle change was I stopped drinking tea for about,
Regular tea?
regular tea, like either green tea, like sencha, Japanese sencha, or pu'er, black pu'er tea. And I really agree about like stop drinking liquids, because I think that not drinking liquids like gratuitously is a huge difference, and it really does support the kidney, you know. And so like when like, huh?
If you're eating clean and minimal, otherwise people will get in trouble. Mark my words, you're going to hear more and more stories.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was doing a lot of master fast days, so anyway, those 2 dry fasts, they worked out great for me. Like I was very moved by the whole thing. And so but about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started drinking tea again, and I just wanted to make a point about the difference. Like, so I'm drinking green tea. You know, it's a really nice high, and I'm doing every other day master fast, and I'm still on pretty heavy vegan on the off days, but I'm drinking tea again. And what I notice is that when I go back to the grape juice and the pudding, like I could have 30 ounces of tea, and then I go and I drink grape juice, and I feel like I'm thirsty. Like the tea didn't do anything to quench my thirst.
No kidding.
It didn't do, huh?
No kidding.
Yeah, it did.
Thirst is an illusion.
Yeah, it's like, and
You're not thirsty
it's
until
like
you start drinking.
the grape juice. As soon as I start drinking it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm thirsty, and like I just feel like it's the only thing that'll quench my thirst. And I've been noticing that a lot in the last few days. You know, it's no big deal, but like it's so obvious, you know.
The drinking doesn't quench our thirst, doesn't hydrate us. Only the body can hydrate you. And
Yeah, it's really interesting.
that's not something that people will believe because we're saying it. They have to experience it.
Well, you're supposed to be dead in 72 hours on dry fast, right?
What'd you say, Steve?
According to science, you're dead if you don't take any kind of liquid in for 72 hours. You're dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it also goes to show that you can't tell people what you're doing. If you tell anybody what you're doing, then it's just a waste of time. It's like it's egoic, because you're coming from a place. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this, and then you get like embroiled with another person, and then you feel like you have to defend yourself, and it's such a waste of time.
Or they
About it.
put a psychological label on you. They think you're crazy, you know.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, believing that in 3 days you would be dead without water, right? Water, because that's what was out there. Drink water, drink water. And the more, as time moves on, the more and more propaganda of drinking water. But then if you have some common sense, some people that are in the desert, living in the desert, which people have lived in the desert for millennia, and you would tell them that, they would be laughing at you. We talk about. We walk through deserts. They live a whole different lifestyle. Because I had a friend from Iran who told me stories about in Iran. They had workers from Europe come from Italy, and he's telling the Italians, don't eat what you guys eat. Eat what the locals eat, because you will get in trouble. And they didn't listen. They got themselves in trouble with health. And then how they helped them was with, this is what they did, with salt and dates.
Oh, dates, man. Oof. Gotta be one of the most perfect foods on the planet.
So what do you do?
I love dates.
You gotta eat like the locals, what's in that environment? And these are extreme environments. And what he said, water, they don't drink a lot of water in those places. They don't drink a lot of water. So it's propaganda we've been fed. And I bought into it. So once I broke through, I bought into it hard because I studied water for many decades and researched and got this and that and the best water and this and filters and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't do anything for me except make me piss a lot.
Yeah. It screws up your bladder.
Keeps you thirsty and it makes you more thirsty. The way I understand now, it makes you more thirsty. So we turned it all around and said, wait a minute. It came to me that this is all wrong. We got to stop drinking water. That's what came to me. And once we got into that realm, you know, that's MFS is what we came with, all this information from MFS, and then hydration started, and you start grow, people start growing, and all kinds of things start happening, because the true hydration is what we call hydration. It's many, many other things at other levels are happening, but we call it true hydration so we can understand it. This is where you start seeing all the magic happen. You know, the proper terminology from the new understanding is creating positioning, field strength positioning. You know, instead of things being, everything goes back to their position. If you look at blood cells, they're coagulated, not good position. They need to be, you know, separated. That separation comes from their field strength, their gravitational magnetic field strength. They have full power. They're producing electricity. Electricity is the effect. We don't run on electricity. It's the effect from our field strength. We see that effect in matter state. So it's awesome. Joy.
Hey, Gino, you know what else, Gino? Like when I'm down, like I do, I'm a field trip coordinator for scientific, you know, for geology. So I go to the Mojave Desert a lot, and I go to Coachella Valley in California, Death Valley, and I notice that the people, the locals down there, they have these beautiful eyes. I don't know what it is, but it's like they, when you're in the desert, there's so much sun or whatever it is, but it's almost like their eyes acclimate to the fact that they've grown their entire life in the desert. And I just noticed that, like, and I have
environments dictate.
Yeah, because I have this friend who's from Arizona, and he has the same type of eyes. They're like really beautiful, like they have like, they're special. Like when you see these people, and they don't do any fasting or anything. They're just like, they just live. They're just from the desert. I've always noticed that.
Yeah, and people from in the desert areas, they don't eat large quantities of food.
Yeah, you can't.
You will be sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
Joy, question here. Has anyone done MFS with mangoes? I am on a mango farm and can't get access to grape juice. You mean juicing mangoes, Joy? It's not a dark fruit. I don't know how much power that would have.
Pretty heavy too.
Yeah, to make actual juice from a mango, it's more like a syrup. It's I don't even know if you'll be in a fasting state from a mango, honest, because I bought mango juice and it's like syrup.
Well, that's like,
yeah, it's almost like a smoothie. It's very.
I don't think you can.
So you want to, if you're there on a mango farm, use mangoes. Try it. Why not? Enjoy them. I would. I wouldn't be looking for grape juice.
No, love mangoes.
Eat
right?
one meal a day.
enjoy it. Let us know how it goes. I don't think it'll have the power, honestly. People have tried many different things. It's the dark fruits that have the power. The watermelons work, the grapefruit, the berries. The prune is way too strong. The cranberry, pomegranate. What else did I miss?
Cherry.
Cherry. Oh yeah, cherries are very strong. Should I not bother cooking them? You'd bring them to higher order. They'd be stronger than raw. So the thing, like I said, I don't know if it's a true juice when you juice mangoes.
It's a nectar.
Sorry?
Sorry?
It's a nectar.
Yeah.
Nectar, yeah.
It was a nectar, right?
I don't know if you drink that only, will it keep you in a fasting state? I don't know. You'd have to try it.
But like, usually people make a smoothie out of mangoes, not juice. Have you had mango juice?
Yeah. I've never juiced it myself. I bought mango juice, but it's like a syrup.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let us know. See how it goes. I try cooking it. It'd bring them higher order. It'd be awesome and it'd be good. They taste amazing. Like mangoes, man. I would try it. Yeah. Brittany, question based on past diet has said that the body's sodium potassium gets depleted through wrong diet. Is it wise to, by getting that to balance before massive fasting, or do the tools we use do enough to get those functions working so that washing and detoxing can unlock? What they consider balance through their chemistry tests have nothing to do with balance in the physical, mental, and emotional body from our understanding. I hope that makes sense the way I put it. When I heard that wrong diet of back depletes magnesium, it is wise to increase magnesium before cleansing is obstructive state. It depends on the obstructions and how much you will be depleted, is my understanding. So always goes back to that. How did your week of green juices go?
It was okay. I was doing all right. I started to release a little liquid in my enemas, and I wound up like caving again. So
Caving what? Eating?
yeah, and so I'm just like upset about it. But I just kind of like,
How many days did you do of green juices?
it was like 3 days. Oh no, 4 days. I'm sorry, because I started at the beginning of the week.
And then you caved.
Yeah. I was having trouble still with releasing. When I was doing just water, it wasn't going well. The grape lemon helped a little. And then
What?
then I actually just stopped enemas for a couple days, which probably wasn't a good idea. I was just kind of like, I've just been kind of stuck, but I want to kind of go into full. But when I started eating again, it wasn't like a lot. At first, it was just like little bits. It was just fruit. And then I went into like other stuff in the evenings. And it's just, I kind of just broke down earlier today because.
Okay, Brittany, we've went over all this, and
Yeah.
I do not support you doing full MFS. If you can't stay on a week of green juices, what's the point? So you're going to cave into, and then you're going to go through this again and again and again. Why? Why are you doing this to yourself? Like caving, did you cave in on just fruit, or did you cave in on vegetables? What did you cave in on?
No, it was like, it was with fruit, and then just like some vegetables, and I was just like back on. When I was drinking the green juices, I was feeling like kind of like sick, not a detox kind of sick, just like a heaviness. And so then I tried to do what?
Urge you like MFS. They're just cool. Prepare you.
Yeah. I mean, I can try to go back into that maybe. Maybe I could just do like celery juice with just kale, because like maybe the celery will help. It was just like when I started washing, I was starting to release a little bit, but my colon was still having a hard time with it. So then I just kind of was like I started getting all in my head and everything, and that's when I kind of dipped down again. And I think what kind of triggered it, I was just kind of doing my own thing, and then I was talking to somebody who actually used to be a spiritual guide to me, and she was just like, didn't really understand like why I was having like issues just with myself. And so basically a lot of people are starting to just say that I had an issue with anorexia or orthorexia, like the desire to purify the body. They call it in like British medical psychology, whatever. And I was just so angry.
Name for everything.
And I was just so annoyed, and I was
Medical tyrants, the medical mafia.
yeah, and it's like that's down, but I'm trying to figure out like how with moving forward, because it's like when I started caving, yeah, and it wasn't to dairy this time, but it was to like vegan like cooked food, which is not really much better at all.
Just not ready for this, period.
Yeah,
Not
but it's just a matter of like,
Okay.
if I keep
You're ready,
eating, I'm gonna die.
When you're ready, we're here. When you've done 7 days of green juice, we will talk without any
Okay.
problems. Maybe just do enemas every 2 days because it's only green juice. To give the
Stop the daily enemas.
Stop.
You're just damaging yourself. Stop doing the enemas on a daily basis. I
Yeah.
would not do that if I were you.
And it's like a matter of like what the woman who was like saying that I was like anorexic or whatever, I was trying to explain to her. I said, no, it was my own problem. I said, it's like actually the opposite reality is like when I felt out of balance, I started like using food as an addiction. It was just my addiction. And I was explaining that to her. I said, like, I'm like, my motility is like shut down because like there's just so much that's in there. And I was explaining to her that it's frustrating to me because even when I was well and I was healthy, people called me anorexic. And then when I was sick and I could eat like enough for like a family or something like that, I will be called anorexic all the time because it's like, I won't gain weight, you know, it's like, it's, and, but it's just a matter of like, the only reason I don't contemplate full just because I'm like, oh, I want to go full MFS. I want to go all the way. It's just a matter of like, when I really do focus on like, okay, I want to get better and I want to detoxify myself, like, and I really start like listening into my body, like fruits are a little better on me, but even that starts like stirring up like, it's better for me because, but at the same time, like I'm just so plugged up that I'm thinking to myself, well, I probably need to just pull this because
if you stay only on
everything.
fruit, does it move through you?
That's the problem is like I pulled back from the green juices because even fruit itself, like when I start taking fruits, it helps a little bit.
Eat only fruit. If you've done that for a few days, does it move through you?
I did it there was one day and it didn't. And then like the second day there was it was a medication I had actually been on, which I don't really like taking the drugs, but it was a motility medication, but I don't like them because they can kind of like cause damage issues. But I took that and I was drinking teas and eating like,
Okay,
it was, wait, no, I'll tell you what it was though. It was like just a tea blend I made. And then I had cherries and then I waited. And then I had strawberries and then I waited. Like, and I had taken that pill and then stuff started to move, but it was only through the fruits that stuff started to move.
The answer to my question is no.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Staying only on fruit. So the question was simple. No. So
okay,
that is another thing you can try.
Okay, I would want to do that. I did go out and
love and eat only wet fruit for 1 week.
Watermelon.
1 or 2 meals a
You know
day.
watermelon? What I used to eat.
I have berries and I have apples, but I can get watermelon. I would love to do that because I went and got fruit today because that was like my intention is that if I could do that and move things, then that would be like the ideal for me because I think
it's never going to happen. You have to make it happen.
Brittany.
Yeah.
If is
Like
an
when I used to,
illusion.
when I used to
I'm still getting in my head about like the worms all the time because I know that they're there and they're moving.
Friends. They're our friends. Why are you pissed off at them?
Yeah.
We
It's like,
love them. We love the parasites.
we love them.
and they,
Love them
the fruit can help with that, right?
The fruit,
The fruit,
parasites will eat whatever you feed them, yeah. And they'll enjoy the fruit better because then when they're fed up with fruit, they'll leave, right? They're gonna leave when the environment starts to change.
When I used to
Whatever's in there, whatever you feed them, they're going to eat because they're hungry. So, do we worry about the parasites? No, we love them, we embrace them, and we focus on where we want to go.
should I do some,
where the parasites want to go.
okay, should I do some herbs like too though? Because like, that's what I feel like my blockage has been mainly.
If I feel that what hour and a half we spent the other day,
Yeah.
an hour and a half, I feel that I didn't get any message.
Well, you said to not do herbs, but
Brittany, I please leave the fast group and come back when you're ready, please. I will give you a refund. Okay?
no, it's okay. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, I will, because I don't feel we're helping. We've helped you one bit in everything we've said. It's not something you're ready for. And MFS is something that you have to feel it. That, yes, this is what I'm ready to do. Not every time that you try for 1 or 2 days, there's an excuse of every excuse in the book and all these different things. We've tried to help you get around all that, but it doesn't seem like we can help you get through that. So I don't think we can help you anymore. I just don't feel it.
Brittany, while you're still here, I would really like to be your friend because, you know, I really appreciate your efforts and I appreciate your honesty, and it kills me to hear you be so down on yourself so much. You know, you're a beautiful young woman and you're trying
Yes, Barbara, we've been trying for a year.
And
You know, somebody needs to be able to take that step, change their environment. That has to happen, because if the environment's affecting you so much that you can't make those changes and you don't make the change of the environment, nothing's going to change. So
It's okay, Brittany, can I ask you to do something?
Yeah.
Do raw fruits, okay? Fruits, maybe fruits only if you can. If you can, do fruits and vegetables. One meal
No,
or
fruit is fine. Yeah.
1 meal or 2 meals a day maximum, okay?
Mhm.
Watermelon, when I used to eat watermelon on raw food, I had to leave, you know, I would be sitting eating watermelon. I would have to leave in the middle before finishing.
Yep.
Go to the bathroom,
Yep.
dump, and
Yep.
come back and continue my food.
Yep.
This is how fast the watermelon is. So if you really are concerned about the bowel movements, then do that for a little bit, okay? Don't eat too much too fast, because you will feel sick, okay? Every time you eat too much watermelon, right? So
That's what I want to try. I want to try like a week on fruit, day with that, and see if it moves the bowels. Yeah.
okay, so
there's fruit that moves bowels and fruit that doesn't move
okay,
bowels
so
for people.
just listen to me. I don't want to hear complaints that the watermelon did not work for me. If we eat if he eats watermelon too fast, he will be complaining. If I eat it too fast, I'll be complaining. If anybody eats it too fast, they will be complaining. So we have to, you know, don't eat it too fast. Listen to your body when you're eating it, and just enough to fill you up, and then take a break. Maybe have another half later on. And I assure you that your bowels will be moving beautifully, at least once a day. At least. Watermelons are amazing for bowel movements. So do that for a week. Forget the green juices. I don't like green juices. I would rather be on watermelon. You know, enjoy. Just find a good company that makes produce watermelons, and keep buying for a week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It doesn't matter, right? And then after that, okay, add 1 day or 2 days a week of master fast. It's a lifestyle, right? And build yourself. Find your way. Don't worry about everything. It can be very confusing. Trust me, to all of us. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. No.
Yeah,
big-
and I think I know it was like my responsibility, and sometimes I get worried because when I start to move things a little bit with enemas, it's just like pieces of parasites that are coming out, and like
Who cares?
I know they're there, but
Who cares what comes out of you? Whatever it is, what do we say? It came out of there. Better out than in.
and that's the trouble though, is like I can't really get it out usually, and I just want to
Get it out of your
and
head.
I'll be fine, you know? If I can just get things like actually moving, like if I can actually have bowel movements, which hasn't been,
Why about that? Why?
Stop doing the enemas and start eating the watermelon. You will
Okay.
move your bowels.
okay,
Stop the enemas. That's
Okay.
that in your head.
yeah,
Don't fixate it on the enemas, and it's
Yeah.
not working.
Let's avoid using F. Who cares? Just do it.
If
Do
may
it
never,
and-
if may never happen.
You know, we use it all the time, but it's not, you know, the best is like really to just do it. Okay. For all of us are learning here. We're all learning and
We
growing. If
we
we're
truly
not,
want to help you, but you're not listening to anything anybody says. So
But we also need to listen to what she's saying and believe what she's saying too. I mean, I had a girlfriend who didn't have a bowel movement for like over a month, and I think as women too, you know, God, we hold 12-pound babies inside our body that are facing and a part of our bodies that they can go out through, and you know, so I mean, you know, I don't think, you know, I just want to see you healthy and happy, you know.
Yes,
we're listening, Barbara. We're listening for a
yes,
while.
Barbara. It's just, you know, I think sometimes it's best for us to just follow. You know, we're learning, especially when you're a young learner. I mean, you're starting to learn something. Well, it's important for us to learn from the experienced ones, right?
Right, but we can also, I think it's also important that people can feel free to speak and try to tell what's happening to them
Well, no,
and tell
it's-
their truths. And,
like-
you know, there's things I disagree with when I hear people talking what sounds like conspiracy theory. You know, I want to speak up and say, I don't think that's healthy. If we're looking at really becoming healthy people, they're going to make a difference in the world so it becomes, you know, a healthier, more loving, more peaceful place. We've got to
Well,
be able to communicate.
because it's like I understand where like everyone's coming from, because there were days like when I wasn't on Masterfast where I would spend like maybe like 3 or 4 days just fasting on herbal teas with like cascara and slippery elm and fennel, licorice, peppermint, and I would just do that and I still wouldn't move anything. It was like just bloat me, and then I would start to urinate, but I was confused because they were like,
Is this master fast? What you did?
no, when I wasn't master fasting, I was doing that just to try to get my bowels moving. And it like, I was confused because I was just brewing herbs, and then I'd have a little fruit, but I was just trying to fast on teas and herbs like that were like bowel moving herbs, and I wasn't moving anything. And
You're not putting anything in for your body to move.
well, I had been though, because I had been like eating and eating and eating, and I would just sit there because I would never go to the
What are you
bathroom.
eating though?
So
What are you eating?
it was the bad stuff. It was like way back.
You're plugging yourself up.
Yeah.
Who cares about, you know, that doesn't help us. That experience that you had, that you
Yeah.
did that it didn't, well, your bowels didn't move. I mean, I don't know what you were eating. We don't know much about anything. Like, we can't really conclude from that experience, right? So
Well,
it's-
yeah, and at that time it was the stuff that I had like told you guys that I was that was bad. It was like sometimes it was sugar, it was dairy, it was like gluten.
Yeah, and you didn't move your bowels.
Boy,
Makes sense.
Deep fried stuff, which is the worst of the worst to lock up your bowels.
well, yeah, and even since that time, then I tried to like realign everything, and I just like couldn't get it moving. Like it's been backed up that long.
No big deal. Trust me.
What?
No big deal.
It's a big deal for her because she's
It
in
really
that
is, no.
situation. Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's really, I feel like it's, take it easy.
Yeah.
No,
I think focusing on this self-love is like really important. Like just the sticking for like a week of just staying with the fruits and committing to it and just focusing on like loving everything, letting go of like what didn't happen in the past, and just like telling yourself just that, you know, it'll work, just give it time and just be with it. That's what I have to do. I have to just, and if it doesn't work, then I'll figure something out, but I have to just like put my mind away for a while.
So do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Nobody can do it for you.
Gino has been helping Brittany the most, by the way. Yeah, Barbara. Gino has been helping Brittany the most, right? I'm sure Brittany did try to help for many people. Okay. He has been on the Master Fast. He has been helping her the most. Like, he is the one who's reading her book. He is the one who is here listening to her, and you know, sometimes I think they have private consultation as well, or whatever, private meeting. So he has been, trust me, he has been there for her. He does get impatient sometimes. Okay, you know, everybody does.
I hear you. Yeah, and I just, you know, it's just, yeah, I've been a person that people are like, oh, let's, you know, shut her out or close the group.
No,
I know how much that, I know how that hurts, and I just want Brittany to know that it's like we're all like want to hear, you know, that you come in with a smile and tell us something good happened.
They really haven't. Like, they haven't shut me out at all. Like, they've been like more than there for me. And I honestly want to focus just on like the advice that's given here, because I still have other people coming in like here and there telling me, you know, take kava, take ashwagandha, take this, and then I'm like start spiraling again. And I just kind of like want to like tell everybody to leave me alone and just do fruit for a week and just follow what Gino tells me to do, and tell everybody to just stop. Like,
look forward to seeing you again next Saturday.
Yeah.
There's no question that Brittany knows how much we love her. Okay, she knows, because I make sure she knows. I always tell her. I saw her when
You're so loving, Raina. You're so loving. I love that about you.
At the end of the meeting, I make sure I tell her how much we love her and how much we care about her. But we you know, we also were kind of, you know, please, you know, just calm yourself down, because there are so many thoughts in the head, and sometimes you cannot achieve anything like that, right? We have to calm ourselves.
I've come to the conclusion many years ago, there's people who are just not going to fast, and that's the way it is. My mother's never going to fast. My father was never going to fast, and many of my friends and family will never ever fast. I'm not going to keep trying to get them to fast. It's not going to happen.
Not trying to get Brittany to
when
fast.
people, Mass Fast was created for people. When people are ready, they find MFS. That's
exactly. Brittany
we've been
fast.
doing for.
Did find MFS, right?
But she's not ready.
She's not completely ready.
Not doing anything that we suggest.
It's okay.
But I so would like to hear people doing the Master Fast, and then like, you know, creating you know, making a change in society, you know, becoming strong, healthy, clear people that are doing good things in the world around them. I want to see that and hear that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Brittany, see what you can do, please. Anybody else has suggestions for Brittany? Some new people, maybe. Tatiana, you're full of love. I love you.
Thank you. I'm no specialist, and obviously I'm very new. But I was just thinking, maybe, you know what, if you tried this watermelon for however long you go, try to do things that bring you peace this week. And that will help you release. I think we all experience that our release is better when we're relaxed and we're at peace. And maybe it's the emotion holding it in, and whatever's stressing you out, try to take that away out of your life, and just do what brings you peace. Spend time in nature, you know. I know you're playing guitar. I play guitar. And then I, you know, we're all praying that it will flow, and it will.
100%.
Thank you.
And I'm being taught anytime I'm hearing myself or we're saying negative things about ourselves, like, oh, I'm so bad, or anything like that. I take that back, universe. I didn't mean to say that. I meant just say, I'm getting stronger every day, that to stop, I am intelligent, start giving ourselves more positive messages so we can grow that way.
Yeah.
People are so good at beating up on themselves and each other, we got to stop doing that, right?
It's serving some purpose, though. My addiction served purpose for as long as I was in them. So until you find out what that is serving, it's not
I
gonna
think
change.
well, when I was on the way home tonight, like I got to that point where it's like I realized that it served like a deep purpose of coming to see things from like a different perspective of obviously, like where you don't want to be, but being brought down to like the lowest angle. But it's like I don't want to stay there anymore. And I think the thing I struggled with is when I would start like full MFS and I would do it for like a couple days, I started to get anxious when I would take my teas and I would do some enemas and I would take the juice and it would start stirring things up, but like I couldn't move it down or like pull things out. And so I was like, oh, well, is that causing problems like up in my upper
Emotional.
area?
It's not
And that's
physical. It's not
getting hurt.
physical, Brittany. It's emotional.
Okay.
Like,
That's what I'm saying is it's not serving anything physical. It's serving something emotional that you just refuse to face. Just as I did. Until you come to that point.
Steve was a career alcoholic. That's a death sentence for most people that go that route. And he chose to change. And he did.
Yeah. Well, that's what I realized. That's what I've like sat with myself when I was on the way home. I just like, I broke down crying because I was actually thinking of what Steve said to me, like when he turned away from alcoholism. And that's like literally what it was with, it didn't used to be, but that's what it was with me with food is like, I can't really fixate on it too much because it literally was like a drug to me. Like I can't, it destroyed like my relationships. It just, and
It's not the food.
start doing okay and then I can get really excited and then I don't want to turn back. But if things are going wrong, it's like that's where I just have to have more of a strong mentality than to just
You're fighting. You can't fight.
go backwards.
Yeah. It's not a battle.
Let me ask you your daily routine. Did you change it? Did you start doing yoga? Did you start going for walks or anything?
Yeah. I started doing like stretches. I started to do like yoga movements. A couple days I did like vinyasa, which is like kind of like a slower moving thing. And I started going outside more too.
Is there a possibility that you believe you need to change your environment?
Sometimes, yeah. I've thought about that. Like it's a lot of things. Like I think there's a part of me, there's Jamie who is in my life that like I think what I struggle with sometimes, and like I've told the ones I live with, I've talked to my mom about this today. When she was in my life, it was more like I felt like it was like, for instance, if I was empathically experiencing something or she was empathically experiencing something, we would bring it up to like one another. And like, it was just kind of, we were observing those things and stuff like that. And like, or even if she said like, oh my God, your energy's doing this or whatever, I wouldn't take offense to it. But I think it is what I'm struggling with is I was so in sync with her and it was just the timbre of everything was just like a certain way. And it's like, ever since we're on different paths right now, but we talk all the time. And spiritually right now, because of the physical is an issue for me and the emotional I'm dealing with because of the physical, but the spiritual is a part of me that's really hurting. Like sometimes the ability to like have somebody there or just be there like with somebody where I'm experiencing like my own waveforms, or I don't know, it's like I didn't have to speak, and it's hard to explain. It's just spiritually I'm hurting sometimes, but it's not always like my
inside path, but
what
this is an inside job.
Yeah.
If I,
You're looking for you're looking for an external fix. It's an internal thing.
Yeah, I have to like find my connection to my own spirit again. I think where I am is fine. I think sometimes the only thing that gets tough for me is that when I start tapping into that, like it's hard for me to focus right now, at least. It's hard for me to focus when I'm not like in the silence. It's just like easier for me when I'm healing to just like be in the stillness, or to just have nature as a backdrop like all the time, and to be lost in that world. And it's harder for me right now.
if I can share, my daughter, when she was 7 years old, she created a song that said, when mothers and daughters can start talking to each other, communicating and working together, there'll be no more homeless people in the street. And I think there's something so profound what she was saying, because I know my mother and my grandmother, all they say is eat, eat. That's how they show their love. Don't talk, chew, swallow, and there was very little, real dialogue or real support. Those were our roles,
Yeah.
getting food or feeding people. Yeah. So I thought it was exciting when you were talking about being able to communicate with your mom. I think that's actually something precious.
Yeah, and I think it's like there's a part of me that craves connection. Like I like to be like one with myself, but I also am really moved by connection at a very like deep level, or talking about like the universe and just talking about the philosophy of being, or even just observing the trees like in a moment, like synchronistically experiencing this telepathic dance between beings. And I was like so lost in that world and was so connected to that right now I have to create it myself, but I almost miss just that kind of exchange in a way. But I can't focus on it like not being there, I can't focus on what's lacking. That's not going to fix things,
Right.
That's just going to like.
Elaine is asking, I thought it was always good to do enemas. Yeah, when you're on Mass Fast, enemas are a must. But Brittany's has a thing with that she cannot release water. Is it physical? Is it emotional? Most likely it's emotional. I've asked if she was checked for tumors. No tumors. So if there's no tumors, then it's a physical and emotional thing of energetic and emotional thing.
Like, I wondered that though, because I've like wondered about it since it got that way. Because the last time they did do a colonoscopy, it was around the time I was releasing the plaque back in January. So they were saying things looked okay, but that was a long time ago.
January. So what do you think? You grew tumors from then?
I don't think so for certain, but it's possible because I've had stuff just held up and backlogged in there for so long, and then just toxins that were starting to come out, and then they would backlog. So like,
you've been having these problems with your bowels?
What?
How long have you been having the problems with your bowels?
With releasing the water, with releasing solids, it's been a while, but with releasing the water, it's been like a couple months. And sometimes I release it, but
how longer than that?
Sometimes I don't.
You didn't let me finish, but I was getting back to energetic.
Oh, with my bowels.
The adrenals are down. The adrenals control peristalsis and blah, blah, blah. So what do we have to do? We have to clean. If you're not able to do a few days and you go back to eating deep fried foods, Brittany, MFS is not for you. You have to find something that you can resonate with in your eating world. Because eating MFS and eating fried foods is going to kill you. I'm going to tell you, it's going to kill you. It's too dramatic. It's too excess from one to the other. It's too much of a shock to the body.
Yeah. I don't want to eat anymore either.
Fruit eating. You can't stay on fruit eating, and just salads. Fruit and just salads at the most. but mainly just fruit. I would like to see you do watermelons for a month. Nothing but
Yeah,
water.
I wondered that with myself. I really thought about it, and it's like I should just do that, and then if I can move into MFS, I should do that, because it's like I should just eat fruit, and like if I can eat the other stuff, then obviously I can eat fruit, and it's not gonna, maybe it'll stir things up and be uncomfortable, but it's I have to just do that, and like that's where I get worried, because if it's
Why don't
stirring,
you
I don't move it, but it's like
in
just
front of
do it.
everybody here and say you're going to do 30 days, and let's come back in 30 days and let's see how your experience is.
With the fruit. Can I do it like for a week and then update you on how it went?
Yeah, don't do 1 month. Don't do one. It's too much.
Because like I'd rather like do it for a period of time, because with like a higher level or full MFS, I almost like want that to be there in case like I decide like, okay, I'm really ready and I want to start thing and I want to start taking herbs again and stuff like that.
Why I said do 1 week maximum.
Yeah.
Again, just like Master Fast, it's a lifestyle. If you do 1 month, right now she's not ready. She cannot commit. This is the thing, okay? Many people, many of us are not able to commit easily, okay? So you want to discipline yourself slowly. You know, do maybe 5 days of watermelon, okay? Whatever.
Yeah.
Then the other days, do watermelon and so like instead of doing Master Fast, you're doing 5 days of watermelon, okay?
Okay.
Consider this like you're doing like level 5 Master Fast, okay? It's not, but 5 days Master Fast, and then 2 days a week you're eating. You eat fruits and then vegetables if you want. Whatever, find your way, but please make a lifestyle of fruits and vegetables. Watermelon will help you move your bowels. Right now it's summer, lots of watermelon. Find good ones and start eating them. They will help you move your bowels. Make a nice program for yourself, nice lifestyle, okay? It's a lifestyle. When you're ready, start adding Master Fast 1 day or 2 days, whatever, you know,
Okay.
and commit to it.
And should I for like, because it's like all up through and the fruit will like help, should I be adding any bowel herbs to try to help my bowels move, or no?
If you want to add herbs, go ahead, no problem. But the best would be to have the herbs when you're fasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to worry about your bowel movements. This is my thing. Okay, you don't need to worry about them. If you're worried about them, I'm telling you, there's no reason. You're eating the watermelon, which will help you move. Okay? If it doesn't help you move from the first week, don't worry. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. There's no. It has to come out. It has to come out somehow. If it's not through your butt, it's gonna come through somewhere. The mouth. We'll have to throw it up if it doesn't come out. It has to come out. You're gonna pee some of it. You're going, but you have to. Your bowels have to move the fiber, or you will have to throw it up.
If there's a physical blockage, you'd be throwing up, and you wouldn't last much. Maybe a few days.
And like that was what started happening, is like I would eat or even just like a small meal and I would start sometimes I would vomit, and then after a while I started just dry heaving and cramping, and it was like,
okay, I don't want to know any more about your experiences. You've shared so many. I'm tired of them, actually. Elaine mentioned Butenko breathing has helped me so much with constipation. I know my situation is completely different. Everybody's situation is different, but Butenko breathing is one thing that we recommend everybody practice for good reasons, because it moves energy. It allows, I can't even think anymore. Energy utilization. It allows the transfer of energy. Mm-hmm. So the choice is always yours. We can't do it for you. We can only support you. If you're going to come on talking about why and if, and we can't go on like this. It's too tiring.
It could be.
I've been there, done that. I can't go on and listen to people that are not going to commit. I've washed that under the carpet a long time ago.
Did you check if your bowels were twisted?
I don't know. When they did the emptying study, they were saying that it looked like things weren't like moving through well, but they didn't know if it was completely blocked, they said. So they just threw me back over to the gastro.
Yeah, like a scan, like how they look, because sometimes people do scans to see that and they find out by
what was the
accident.
test?
By
The,
accident.
the CT scan, they were saying they didn't really see anything. In the X-ray, they said that they were seeing like the air was having a hard time moving, but they didn't see that. They thought that it was constipated. So
X-ray, you can't see. Oh, X-ray.
Yeah, with that. No,
Anyway.
I'm sorry. Hold on. You can see the shape of the colon with the. Yeah, you can see the shape, not how things move. I don't know. But you
yeah,
can see the shape of the colon.
they didn't really do anything to see like what was in it or like what was going on. They were just trying to see how fast things were moving from the stomach down, and they did that one scan where it was like 6 hours and it was like moving very, very slow, like down, and then like by the second day it was kind of down in the middle, but it never evacuated
Not
itself.
the deep fried foods.
What? No, I wasn't. I just had to, they gave me for the test thing. I told them when I was starting, because I was trying to fast around that time, but then they were saying like I had to eat like an egg that morning. So they gave me that, and that's where they put the isotope in to see like where things were going to move. And
Okay, I was gonna say, X-rays, you get to see the shape of your colon. Okay, if they didn't see twists, then they didn't say anything about it, then your colon is not twisted. I was just wondering, because sometimes if it's twisted, people have a very hard time. I don't know. I mean, I have one colon. I remember one colon client who said she had twisted colon, but she found out by accident. Okay, most people have absolutely no idea. But I don't know. So she was very careful with the colonic. But that's it. Nothing really.
Yeah.
She was like.
Is here any thoughts on using strong cannabis oil to soothe extra pain from detox? And there's no detox symptoms. She's not fast.
Yeah.
Can go a day or so and then eats fried foods or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's not detox symptom. That's food.
Eating or fasting, she has these feelings.
Being stoned on food.
Eating or fasting, she has these feelings. It doesn't matter. She just like she can't do enemas easily. I don't know.
Yeah.
You had a surgery in the past.
You can try numbing yourself up.
You had a surgery in the past with your colon, right?
I don't know.
yeah, but it was in 2014, and then my bowels worked really well for like 2 years, like after that, so it was fine.
With enemas?
No, I was 2015, 16, and 17. I drank a lot of water. I ate lightly or moderately, and I went like 3 times every day, full movements. Like,
Don't do that again.
So I don't understand why is it that you're having problems now? You're not master fasting. Why is it that you're having problems? What's the difference in your lifestyle? What happened?
something in 2017, like they thought my hormones went off, but my diet just kind of changed. I got really stressed, and then I started eating a little bit more, but I started having like cramping.
Where you moved in right now?
What?
Where did the stress start? Where you moved in right now?
No, this was just this year. I was at school, at college. It was
College was stressful?
a little bit, but not really. It was just like a lot of family stuff going on, and my grandfather was passing, and a lot of other stuff going on with like a relationship and everything like that. So I was trying to like kind of get my own space and move and change things in my life, and I was okay. And then my diet wasn't great that year, and then I tried to fix it. I just like went back to everything being normal, and I started to have something happen where I would cramp and I would start eating lighter, and I was just doing things normally. I never really did enemas or anything back then, because I hadn't had to, but then I stopped going to the bathroom. So I didn't do enemas or anything. I didn't really even wasn't really in touch with that stuff. I didn't really know, but I started having cramping, like I was going to have to go to the bathroom, and I would feel like I was going to go and I couldn't. And then the tissue in my lower colon would drop down and like funnel, like cave in, like prolapse on the inside. And so that kept happening. And then I was telling them like, listen, the tissue's weak on the inside, it's dropping. And they said, oh, you have like a pelvic floor disorder, like you have a pelvic prolapse. I said, so what do I do? They said, okay, physical therapy and kind of watch your diet. So I started to, and later that year I found out I had parasites, and I started doing enemas and herbs, and I started passing a lot of worms and stuff like that.
Or you had parasites.
Brittany, who doesn't have parasites?
Yeah, I guess everybody has parasites.
That doesn't
Brittany,
mean
we're
anything.
tired of the same. You're going in
Brittany,
circles over and
one thing
over.
you have to know.
We're gonna have to come bring this to we're at 3 hours.
We have
Yeah.
more parasites than cells in our body. Are you gonna fight them? Come on. They are part of you. You can't. Let them be.
You're I
Please.
think a good psychologist that doesn't use drugs. You need to work on coming to terms with reality and you know what's your purpose here and so on and so forth. You're not working. You don't have a purpose, and until you find that, I don't know how we're going to help you. I don't know how we're going to help you find your purpose. We've spent how many hours?
It's okay,
folks,
sweetheart. We can spend all the
live
time we have. I don't regret it. The only thing is,
don't regret it,
I
but
want to
if I
help
can't
you.
help somebody,
Oh, but I don't believe that. Like, I did have a purpose, and I still do, and it was music and philosophy and wellness, and I messed it up. That was the problem, you know?
why did you mess it
Brittany,
up?
you did not mess up anything. This
Who
is
told you
I
you
your,
messed
started eating really bad, you know?
God made a mistake in your plan.
No, I just started eating really bad.
God had eating bad your plan too. Okay?
Yeah.
Live it, love it. This is the way it is. This is your reality right now. Okay?
Yeah.
Out of it. Okay?
Yeah.
And I
My life,
you know, I appreciate.
his life is not perfect. Steve's life, nobody's life is perfect. Okay?
Far from it.
But we're not gonna sit here and complain about it 24/7.
Yeah.
We have to go deeper than that. We cannot do it. We cannot just complain about it because everybody would be tired listening to us. If I complain to someone over and over and over about something that I'm challenged with, they'll tell me, Rana, I can't help you. And yes, I've had this before. Trust
And I
me.
think it's like my intention is to just like purify myself. And I think sometimes once I start, I know it's going to be a process, and I just have to not look back. But I get like overwhelmed because when I see like,
There
you know,
go.
the pictures
Fear.
and like
It's
all
sweetheart.
the,
You just got it. You nailed it right there. You refuse to face your fears.
Yeah. Sweetheart,
yeah, no, it's that. It's that. It's like once
Either
I
trauma
start,
or fear, one or the other, that you're not emotionally ready to handle.
and that's what it is. And it's like when I start, and then I,
But
you know, I
nobody
think,
can help you do that.
but it's like when I start and I think of like, you know, all the plaque and everything that's in all of us and everything, and I think to myself, well, wow, I just know like, you know, everything that's inside of me, and it's just like kind of,
Thank you.
Brittany, you're so sweet.
And I want the attention on me right now. It was killing me this week. I was singing that thing that goes, you know, when you cry, when you laugh, the world laughs with you, and when you cry alone, you know. And I was going, that shouldn't, you know, that shouldn't be right. And I don't mind any of the time, you know, listening to you. You sound like, you know, bright and hearing your story, and you know, you've been through a lot of things. That, oh my gosh, you are so young. I'm 70s. I'm in my 70s, and I'm scared that if I say, what does it mean when your poop comes out like little rabbit pellets? What is that supposed to mean? And then Gino will say, and then he'll get mad at me, and I'm scared to talk. But I do want to ask.
it's
Someone
what
here
Steve said. It's like I get overwhelmed because it's like it's going to be a very long journey. Because when I think to myself, I'm like aware of like, okay, well, if I was very clean inside and I used to go like 3 times every day, if I ate a small or moderate meal, and I used to go full movements and was pretty empty inside. And if I,
Today, that's not today.
I know. And then I thought to myself, well, now it's been months. And so I have to go for a really long time, just staying forward until I start moving this out. And then the plaque will start to work out too. And it's just going to be a long time. And that's, I think, the part of me I have to get used to is to breathe into the pain, not be afraid of the pain, and face the fears, and then like not be impatient at the same time, and just trust, you know. There's one part of me that thinks, well, if I'm so toxic inside my body, I'm afraid of dying. And I think I just have to get over all of that and be like, well, you know what, whatever happens, happens. Just do the right thing. It'll be fine.
Just to let you know, Gino has been there for Brittany more than any of us, okay? In terms of his time and energy, he has put more into Brittany more than any of us. So we appreciate that. Yes, he can be patient or he can be scary or whatever. Okay, this is his personality. He has to work on himself. I have to work on me. You have
I'm not here to be anybody.
Yeah, I have to work on that.
That's Hans, what's the saying? The truth is not what you want it to be. The truth
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Or if you don't,
You have to bend to its power, or you live a lie.
Oh, hey, it's you.
Hey,
Hi.
hi, Brittany. We're going full circles, I hear. We're going full circle.
You think?
how can we help? We've been trying. We've all been trying. You know, it's frustrating because you can't help somebody. You need to move them on to somebody who can.
Okay, Brittany, I think the best thing is honesty, in my opinion, because I feel you're repeating yourself, okay? There's no reason.
Not feel, she is.
Listen, I have done this before. I was in your place complaining about something that is really bothering me to someone, but then that someone cannot listen to me forever because they have a life too.
Yeah.
And I need to get a life if I am doing that, you know? I shouldn't be doing that. I mean, I should.
Yeah.
We can't keep talking about the past too. It's so good if we can start like talking a little bit more about the future, where we're at right now, and inspiring each other.
Right, but it's a little bit of my experience that this is not the appropriate path for me, at least. From my experience, I believe the best thing for everyone, honestly, is to learn from the experienced ones. Okay, to be quiet. So when
Have you meditated every day?
take a break. Take a break from really repeating the same story, because it is the same story. We have heard it, right? Take a break. Take a break. It's okay not to do the master fast right now. It's okay not even to eat fruits right now. It's up to you. Everything is up to you. But take a break from, the mind is really like not relaxed, It's working nonstop on things that are really not helping you, right? In the right direction.
Yeah.
Moving you in the right, where you want to be. So
I think
break and think, what is going on in my life? What's
it's like, I think grounding myself, like it's like a few things. I have to just let the conception go away from my mind. There's this limiting belief I have, like I'm toxic and I'm backed up, like this is gonna kill me if I don't do something right. And it's like I just have to stop thinking like that, because like maybe it's very
to do anything.
Yeah.
When you say I have to, you don't have to do anything really. Just break.
And I think like, in my heart, it's like I want to go full into everything because I want to feel good. Like I want to feel better. And it's going to take time. It's like I have to sit with myself tonight and be like, okay, am I happy where I am? And if I'm not happy where I am, like where I'm in my space,
right
how
now when you make the decision.
What?
You can feel good right now when you truly make the decision.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It's not easy for people to make a decision. I understand. Okay. Don't do anything. Go ahead.
It's fascinating, like just from like when everybody now, or everybody in his life, when you come up to a problem or something is there that is a hurdle for him, everybody tries to, deal with it and work that he can get over it or around it or whatever it is. And it's fascinating when you should. Do you sometimes listen to yourself, like when you actually this Zoom or go through a few Zooms where you're actually talking to yourself, where you're talking, listen to yourself and analyze as if you were another person. So Brittany is listening to Brittany and tries to help Brittany, you know, like from an outside point of view. And then you'll see there's a huge repetitiveness in yourself that you will have to overcome, because you're regurgitating on the same thing over and over and over and over. And when you do that, you will never get over it. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to take distance of that. But I'm saying a good way is listen to your own Zooms, and then you tell Brittany what Brittany should be doing. Because you know. But you just got to tell yourself what to actually do. There's nothing that we can give you on advice. Trust me. It's Brittany itself that has to listen to Brittany. And then you sit there and watch it for however long, and the several ones that you definitely added are there. And then you think about it, what can Brittany now tell Brittany to do? And then Brittany has to do what Brittany says. You see? That's what I'm saying. The truth is not what you want to be. And you'll find that truth when you listen to yourself. I guarantee you will. But you have to sit down, take the hours and listen to yourself, and then see what Brittany has to tell to Brittany. Because then I'm sure you'll get over the hurdle, 100%. And then, because then you only have to answer to who? Not to Gino, not to Rana, not to me, Steve, or anybody else. No, you have to answer to yourself. And that answer to yourself then will clear and will give you guidance, give you a purpose. Because we can give you as many purposes as we like. Brittany does not understand. Brittany does not understand, but Brittany will understand when Brittany talks to Brittany. And that's what you got to do. Listen.
And I want to talk to
Well,
and say, there's so many people here. Brittany, there's so many people, and I bet everyone should have at least 5 minutes to talk about what's happening with them, right? You know, I know when the Indians would be talking, or at Toastmasters, everyone getting so much time to listen, to learn, and to grow. I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you understand.
Yeah,
because this is precious time for all of us, right?
That's what I want to pass everything like forward. Like I just kind of want to leave like where I'm at, like just where it's at, and I'll do what he said to do too. I think that's important. When I was feeling better, it was like easier to just kind of sit with myself in a room and do what he did, like said, like have a dialogue with myself and like act, like play both roles. And
because Brittany, it's only Brittany.
Yeah,
Brittany can help Brittany. There's nobody else. You can't.
I know. No, I know. And that's what I need to go in. That's what I'm going to go into, because right now I just need to change things, and I'm just going to sit with myself and find out how I'm going to do that, because mainly more than anything, just physically and a heaviness inside me, and physically I'm just in pain and discomfort, and I just don't feel good, and I have trouble focusing. So I need to change it, you know?
But Brittany, it's not another enema, and it's not another Kalima, trust me. It's not.
It's not.
If you can't understand, that's why I'm saying to you, listen, go back a year and listen to yourself, and you're regurgitating over the same thing.
Yeah.
It's that hurdle there, and you're going over the same over and over and over and over. That's what Brittany has to learn from Brittany. Not from us. Nah, stuff us. Yeah. Brittany's got to learn from Brittany now. That's what you got to do. Now take that mirror and look at it, and then say, Brittany, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
That's honestly, it's not us, and it's not. You will not get it from, and it's not by doing the same thing that you've been doing now for how many years? No, it's letting go. But that's that. You have to come to that conclusion. You have to find that way. It's within. I said that at the beginning here. The fountain of wisdom is within yourself. You have the wisdom. You're not just tapping it into it, and you're not giving it to Brittany. Give that to Brittany. Give yourself the wisdom of Brittany, because you've got it. You're going to just give it to you and then go with it. But that's a waking up process that Doesn't matter how long we dance around here and regurgitate and twiddle and fiddle. No, Brittany is what has to do that job. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Not in an ER, not in anywhere, not on a Kalima board. No, 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 no. Inside here, inside. That's where Brittany has to find it. That's all you got to do. But don't make it, and like, I mean, I don't want to give advice or whatever, but listen to yourself. Honestly, go and listen to a few Zooms of yourself. And then I'm sure it'll come to you. Because if you had to listen to somebody else going over the same hurdle, you would say, what the hell is this person doing?
Yeah, I know.
That's something that you have to come to, it has to come to you, and then you be the only one that can do it. That's all it is.
And we are here to love you and support you, just like we are here to love and support everyone.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I hope everybody has enough courage to come back next Saturday and share. And I'd love to hear everybody share.
Yes.
Courage. You had enough courage for 5 years. We're gonna keep going.
Thank you guys. I'm sorry.
Courage in the heart.
I'm sorry I
Meditation.
took so much time. And like, I know that since it's been like this, I know I like repeat the same phrases all the time and everything. And I just
I
kind of
believe you're worth
stop because yeah.
And Brittany, let me tell you,
Brittany, you're worth our time.
the older I
You're
get,
worth it, Brittany.
the older I get, Brittany, the bigger my cemetery of ideas becomes. It's the same thing, you know. We create a cemetery for ourselves with ideas and things,
Yeah.
and all you got to do is bury them and let it go, because it's all it is.
Yeah.
Just find it. You will find it, 100% Brittany. But you have to be Brittany, not a Kalima board and not an enema. It's got to be Brittany. Brittany by herself, and Brittany coming. And yeah, go and find Brittany maybe in another environment. Yeah, like go out in nature. Just saying, something that helps you. But don't find it. You will not find it amongst other people.
That's what it's going to be, because it's been like probably the past year where this has been a struggle, and it's been kind of losing personal power. But at the same time, it's also that it's like right now, I don't know how I'll like make it work, but I will. It's like where I'm at right now, because I like the people that I'm with, like here, like where I'm living. But the truth is, I really want to be by myself and focus on me. And it's been hard to do that, but I really just want to be alone. I don't mean like not on Zoom and everything, but I want to be able to connect with myself again. And it's been kind of distracting. And then I go into this fight, flight, like jumpy personality, which
you can do it anytime.
Yeah.
Alone anytime. Just make
Side.
it
We have tons of tools. The thing in NFS, we cannot hold your hand. What we do is we throw out the rope and we keep going. And whoever wants to hold on the rope, they're welcome.
No,
Yeah.
we can't.
Hold the rope.
Now they're not saying it's just fight or flight. Now they're realizing people do fight, flight, or freeze. And and I know it's really hard when you're in a lot of pain, to try to relate to people or have people relate to you. But yeah.
Yeah, and Brittany, I said it earlier. You weren't on. And I think I said it before too. We learn from history that we don't learn from history.
Yeah.
You've got to overcome, you know what I mean? Because you haven't learned of it. As all of us have to have that process, because most of the time we just never learn out of history, out of our own history, and then we repeat the same shit over and over until all of a sudden, shit. Let it go. And then that's when, but as I said, that's the majority of our lives is that we don't learn from history. We just don't. And that's the points where you make a difference. Everybody makes a difference in their own life when they overcome that point. And then, no, I'm not going to do that again. I know now. It has come to me. You remember? You won't understand it, but it will come to you. That's what it is.
And that's been my life.
I said to my children, Yeah. When I educated my children, I said, you won't understand it now, but it will come to you. It will come to you later. And it does, as it does come to me. When somebody says to me, that, no, I don't understand it, and then it comes to you. And it will come to you if Brittany talks to Brittany, for sure, 100%.
And then also, like, when something doesn't work or causes problems, it's like, learn to just stop doing that thing. And then, yeah, what Steve said, though, is like the key part, because even if it is something like changing my environment so I can be with myself or just be by myself, go back to living by myself, like, why am I so afraid to take that jump, or why am I so afraid to do it? Just do it. If you need to do it, do it. Like, what's going to be so bad? If it doesn't work out, then figure it out, like, do it, you know?
You've got
See,
to-
the will, yeah. The will to do things is always free.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at. People in concentration camps had free will. They could do whatever they want in their will and their mind. It was free.
Yeah.
So don't make yourself dependent on an environment. Yes, if it's conducive to your own feel better, that's good. But trust me, if the will's there, the will is free to do whatever you want to do. That doesn't matter where it is. That makes no difference. If you want it, if Brittany learns from Brittany, she will do it. Doesn't matter where it is.
But
And
thank
it
you.
comes to you in the most busiest place. You can be the most quiet person if you want to be that. But that's Brittany talking to Brittany.
Yeah. And what you said helped me like the most tonight. It was like, I want to go sit with myself and just talk, like actually have a conversation with myself.
I do that every day. Starts in the morning. When I go, first thing when I look in the mirror, I said, who do I see there? It's my best friend. Let's talk to him for a while.
Amazing.
That's what it is. There's nobody better than yourself. There's nobody better. Believe that and live that and embrace it. Everywhere you're at, you're good. You're the best. It's all about that. Self-belief and it comes because you see you've done so much work with yourself already. It hasn't gone to waste or anything. It's just sitting there on idle. And you're there to you're the accelerant. You can accelerate it into realms that you haven't been before, but that's Brittany has to do that, Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Not us.
And the patterns have to change, because it's like if you do a lot of work on trying to like cleanse or work on yourself and you go and like do something obstructive, then you're wasting the work you did. That's not, and you still learn from it, but it's like, it's silly. Like, don't do that, you know?
But see, that's where you can't, you're the only one can answer that. We can't. You have to answer that. And you don't use support to guide, but it's the ultimate. Everything, the wisdom, the knots open up inside yourself, by yourself. You're the one untangling them, not us. How can we untangle you? I can't even untangle myself. How am I going to untangle you, Brittany? It's hard. It's hard enough. But it's in you. That's what I'm saying. Believe that and trust that, Brittany. And listen to that, Brittany.
Absolutely.
Because Brittany will talk to you.
And Brittany, sweetheart, there's no reason to feel bad or regret about the past. It's okay. You went through it for a reason. Everything was designed for you to go through this. It's perfect. Okay? So we don't want to sit here and regret what happened. It's okay. Happened. Did you learn from it? That's how did you learn? How did you change? That's all. That's the best you can take from your history, from the past.
Yeah.
Don't let it shape your future, or don't let it decide your future. You decide. You have the power.
And I can like leave that there. And I have to ask myself the question tonight, like, where if I learned from mistakes, why did I go back and do them again? I have to sit with myself and ask myself, why did I do that? Why did you do it?
It's okay.
Because history tells us that we don't learn from history. It's as simple as that. And laugh about it. And
it's that simple, I guess.
It is that simple. History tells us that we don't learn from history.
We don't learn from history.
We don't.
History says we don't change.
We don't.
Yeah. Nobody. And the tool, you just, and for understand, then you laugh at so many things. You say, holy shit, I haven't learned here either, you know? And that's the way it is. And that's the way it has to be, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But you will gain answers through that. You will. That's what it comes down to. You will step up. But it's a process only you can do. You do.
I love you are very calm right now. You see, Brittany. I think Hans Peter got you know, he had the right button. Yeah. You are very calm right now. You see, you're listening. You're relating. You're listening to us. You see, you're getting it. So this is good. This is how we, you know, please be calm. Listen and take it in slowly. You don't have to take too much in, just a little bit at a time, okay?
Yeah. I just want to clear my GI tract though because it feels so gross.
Nothing. Leave it there. Put it aside.
It's going to take you 20 years minimum. So
Probably it's gonna take me like till I'm 70.
But Brittany, honestly, you will find if you listen to yourself again, all of a sudden, everything falls in place. Mate, it's just all goes. You're just looking. You're just not working with yourself on releasing that. That's all it is. But you say honestly, because it's like, why? You know, when I listen to an interview and say, why did I ever say that? Holy shit, I shouldn't have. You know what I mean? Like, and then that just triggers certain thought processes that then can release other things. But it's all within. It's all within. And that's what I'm saying. So that's all you have to do. Even today, start it. Flick back on YouTube and go and listen. What did she say 6 months ago? What did she say 3 months ago? What did that young girl, clever girl, say a month ago? And then find your answers on that.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. And on the strength of that, I've got to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you've got other things. All right. You take care altogether.
See ya.
And stay in touch, eh? See you guys.
Night, guys.
meditation.
No, I need it now.
We need it now.
You're funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Brittany, I started reading a book. It talks about these things. I'll send you the title of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Talks about that voice that we all have in our heads. That's what's happening with you. You're listening to that voice.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That'd be really good.
The Untethered Soul is the name of it.
Oh my God, I found it somewhere once and I read the first 2 pages. It was laying somewhere and I thought it was someone, but.
Exactly what you're going through.
Okay, I need to pick that up. Thank you.
Get comfortable. Quite a week. Close your eyes. Get all that mumbo jumbo go. We know we got a lot, everybody's got a lot on their plate with everything going around the world. Quite a new experience for everyone. So the only thing we can do is be the change, starting with ourselves. With every breath, you go deeper and deeper as every single cell gets more relaxed within our physical body. From our toes to the top of our hair, we go deeper and deeper. We feel the peace, we feel the plasma love always flowing. Tapping into that wonderful space of creation where everything is perfect and always leads to peace, balance, correct conduct. Let's think of ourselves sitting inside of a mini tornado. The tornado's spinning, but we're in the stillness form, watching that tornado and feeling its pressure of vortex drawing through our waste channels, through our anus, all the imbalances, and grounding it out into the earth. So the tornado spinning with its point on the earth, and we're floating in this tornado as it's spinning around us. And you can sense and hear, creates a special tone. And that tone is 432. The number of creation. Within this vortex, floating around as the tornado is moving around the earth. And it will move to all the places with the most imbalances so we can restore balance in those areas. Wherever your soul leads you, your soul knows where to go. And maybe next door, maybe across the planet, maybe a few blocks away, next town. Just allow the direction to take its place in autopilot. As it always does. With each breath, we become more and more relaxed as the tornado is spinning faster and faster. Moving at speeds beyond light to the destinations that need balance. And once it reaches these destinations, we pause there for a moment, balance is restored, and we move on to the next destination. And we continue. It's good to keep the tongue on the roof of your mouth or roll it back and suck on it. Whatever position you feel drawn to. As we continue to float within the tornado and all the destinations that need balance, that are in balance, that need balance. I'm in downtown Toronto now. California. Washington. Seattle. Massachusetts. Boy, lots of states. British Columbia, back to Canada. Alberta. As we keep moving on, just allow tomato spins faster, faster, gains more strength, more field strength. Continues spewing out plaf. To bring balance in these areas. Seems like we need to go to most destinations in my as my soul directs. The oceans, the mountains, deserts, volcanoes. Let's do some quick rotations around the whole Earth a few times, Superman style. North to south, east to west. As we land back to where we started. Tornado still spinning. We focus on our breath. In through the nose, going up through the spine, from the tailbone, top of the head, out through the nose, down the front of the body, back to the bottom of the spine. And continue that cycle for a few rounds. Now we allow the tornado to dissipate back to where it came from. Start getting feelings back in our physicality, wiggling our toes, our legs, our buttocks, torso, arms, fingers, neck, head. And we're ready. Open our eyes. And voila, we're back.
Wow.
All right, folks, thank you so much. It's been a long week for me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And
Thank
yes,
you, everybody.
yes,
Good night,
that-
everyone.
That's why. Thank you, guys. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Lots of
Good
love to you.
Ciao,
Love
ciao.
you.
Love you, Brittany.
Keep that plaf blowing.
Bye-bye.